Director, sir, can
Yeah,
we start?
we can start.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Uh, Good morning, respected Director, sir, Professor Dr. Atmanand. Good morning, all dignitaries on the panel, Mr. Musarrat Hussain, Chief Guest ICBIT, Professor Raj, Professor Raj Agarwal, our guest of honor, Ms. Nupur Singh, our special invitee from Springer. Good morning, all authors, presenters, and delegates. Good morning to all my faculty and non-faculty colleagues of MDIM and my dear students. It is indeed a proud moment for all of us that MDIM has organized its first international conference on business, IT, and enterprise architecture, commonly known as ICBIT, in online mode. This is the first time that a conference has been organized in the online mode. And you know what is the reason? The most important reason is that due to this pandemic, and it has given us an advantage also that we are able to reach the entire globe through this online mode. That is the advantage we have got. We have got huge number of participants in this particular conference. Now I request Dr. Souvik Banerjee to give the welcome address.
Thank you, Dr. Vikramjit Pal. I welcome all the panelists present over here, our respected director, Dr. Professor Atmanand, chief guest of the inauguration ceremony, Mr. Musarrat Hussain, guest of honor, Dr. Raj Agarwal, our respected invitee, Ms. Nupur Singh, our keynote speakers, technical track chairs, paper presenters, and other delegates, our faculty and non-faculty colleagues, and our students of MDI Murshidabad. So it's indeed a great pleasure to welcome you all to this inauguration ceremony of ICBIT 2020. ICBIT 2020 has truly become an international conference with participation from countries across the globe. We are indeed grateful to all the stakeholders for the overwhelming support that we received in the very first edition of this conference. We are going through quite a challenging time due to the ongoing pandemic. However, it also increased the pace of digitization and brought us closer with increased use of technology. We hope that ICBIT will provide a platform that will enable thought leaders from across the globe to deliberate on emerging trends and new business models that has emerged in the wake of this pandemic. In the very first year of the conference, we are elated by the response that we have received. We had received around 120 research papers, and we have selected 79 out of that for presentation in this conference. We are looking forward for 2 days of intellectual stimulation and enough food for thought that will shape our actions in the days to come. With these words, I request Dr. Vikramjit Pal to continue the further proceedings of the inauguration ceremony. Thank you. Kindly unmute yourself. Dr. Vikramjit, kindly unmute yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Souvik Banerjee. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Sir.
Okay. Let us start the proceedings. Let me first introduce our director, sir, Professor Dr. Atmanand. Professor Dr. Atmanand is a renowned economist, administrator, and academician, currently working as director of MDI Murshidabad. He has worked as director additional charge of MDI Gurgaon. He is also the independent director of Central Bank of India and PTC India Limited, and was also independent director of SAIL. Dr. Atmanand's experience in teaching, research, and consultancy is of more than 34 years. He is one of the longest serving deans of India. He has taken many new initiatives like the launch of the MDI School of Energy Management, Journal of IMT Ghaziabad, and established MDIM, to name a few. He has contributed to various national responsibilities as member of the State Finance Commission, Government of Bihar, Planning Commission, Government of India, and as member of Ad hoc Task Force, Cabinet Secretariat, Government of India, member of Review Committee, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, member of Advisory Committee, Ministry of Power, Government of India. Dr. Atmanand has authored 16 books and published more than 100 research papers in national and international journals. He has undertaken several consulting assignments in area of energy, insurance, infrastructure projects, social development, leadership, etc. He specializes in public enterprise management, management of energy and environment, power, oil and gas, steel, financing infrastructure projects, project finance, economic and business environment, public policy and management. His contribution for many years has been recognized in the form of awards like Rashtriya Gaurav Award for his excellence in and contribution in the nation building, Indian Achievers Award for Corporate Leadership 2010, Economic Development Award for Excellence in Higher Education 2011, Exemplary Global Leadership Award 2010, and appreciation letters from various departments like the Ministry of Power, Government of India, and SAIL. Professor Dr. Atmanand's vision statement is to have people around him who are thinkers and doers in one person. He spreads the policy of connect, nurture, and grow. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our director, Professor Atmanand. I request him to give his inaugural address and declare this conference as open. Thank you, sir. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Vikramjit, for your kind words. Fellow members of MDIM family, please join me in giving our guests the most cordial of welcomes. Honorable Chief Guest, Sri Musarrat Hussain Ji, Head Leadership and Functional School, Maruti Suzuki Training Academy. Honorable Guest of Honor, Dr. Raj Agrawal Ji, Director, Center for Management Education, IMA, esteemed professors and researchers from across the world and colleagues from the industry and academia. Our honorable guests have given innumerable contributions in the growth of our MDIM family. International Conference on Business, IT and Enterprise Architecture, ICBIT 2020 is an online conference organized by MDI Murshidabad with the most relevant theme, Resurgence of Business and Economy post-COVID-19. I appreciate the hard work, commitment, and dedication made by the conference chairs, Dr. Soubhik Banerjee and Dr. Bikramjit Paul. Their relentless effort has made this event happen. They exemplify the merit possessed by MDIM faculty. I also appreciate all my faculty colleagues and administrative staff members for their continuous effort for this event. COVID-19 has fundamentally changed the paradigm of sectors across the board in a varied way. In this backdrop, this conference intends to bring thought leaders from corporate sector as well as academia to brainstorm on various relevant issues and discuss the way forward. It is my pleasure to introduce you to MDI Murshidabad now, which is becoming popular as MDIM. In a very short span of time since its inception in 2014, MDIM has established itself as a brand in itself in line with our parent organization, MDI Gurgaon, by achieving excellence in various spheres due to our concerted and relentless effort. MDIM has aligned local aspirations with available state-of-art facilities, backing it by a cutting-edge technology and subjects. Courses like artificial intelligence and machine learning, business analytics, HR analytics, digital marketing provides us an edge over others. Technological advancements have taken place at a very fast pace with use of Moodle, Bloomberg Finance Lab, and all that can be thought of. We were awarded A star at national level and A star at state level by CRISIL in 2020. NHRDN ranked MDIM as #1 in the category of emerging business schools in India in the year 2019. We also become a member of the prestigious Association of Management Development Institutions in South Asia, MDISA, starting April 2019. We are signing several MOUs with international universities for sharing knowledge. To mitigate the challenge of new normal, we have taken various initiatives at MDIM, such as online certificate courses launched, webinar talk series initiated, online workshops were initiated, and online corporate talks and online international conferences, etc. are few to be mentioned here. MDIM strives to make change masters and thought leaders. MDIM's vision is to be an internationally excellent business school known for our academic ambition and influence in building a responsible future for both business and society globally. And all this because of the faith shown by you all. Spread over 2 days of 25th and 26th September, the conference will bring together academicians and corporate practitioners from various parts of India, as well as a number of other countries across the globe. This is a unique conference as it is standing at the intersection of business and technology. Faster digitization of our economy has the potential to fast pace our economic development, increase efficiency, and increase the economic output manifold. The ever greater technology adoption in various sectors should be an important enabler in our march towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. We at MDIM follow the policy of connect, nurture, and grow, CNG. But I would like to tweak the policy slightly and reintroduce it as connect, network, nurture, and grow, CNNG. Our online mode of education believes Uttishta, Jagrat, Prapya, Varani, Bodhat. Rise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. The key to success is to focus on goals and not on obstacles. No pandemic can stop MDIM from sharing knowledge. My sincere thanks once again to all dignitaries and to all participants and scholars who have graced this august occasion with their presence. I declare the conference officially open. Best of luck to all. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our chief guest of the inauguration ceremony, Sri Musharrat Hussain. Sri Musharrat Hussain has 3 decades of rich experience in corporate HR and plant HR in diverse industry verticals, that is engineering, automotive, and IT. He has worked with companies like ICHR, Good Earth Limited, etc. in the past before joining Maruti Suzuki India Limited. Currently heading Leadership and Functional School at Maruti Suzuki Training Academy. Earlier, he had been the head of corporate HR in Maruti Suzuki India Limited. He has unique experience of working with American, European, Indian, and now Japanese corporates, and is well versed with different work cultures, processes, and practices. He is on the board of trustee of Maruti Suzuki XISS Avanish Kumar Dev Memorial Trust, past executive member of the National HRD Network, Bhopal chapter, and life member of NHRDN. Also member of advisory committee, NHRDN B School ranking 2018-19. He is on the panel of CII as senior assessor and has done CII HR excellence assessment in companies like Tata Capital, Hindustan Zinc, Infosys, Bharat Petroleum, Aegis Limited, and Hanson's Drives Limited in the past. He is also on the panel of ACMA as assessor for HR excellence for auto component manufacturing companies. He is member of the CII Regional Committee on HR and IR, Northern Region 2018-19, 19-20, 2021, and CII Regional Committee on Skill Development and Livelihood 2020-21. He is also a life member of ISTD. So with these words, I request our chief guest, Mr. Musharrat Hussain, to give his address. Over to Musharrat Hussain, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Souvik. At the outset, A very good morning to all of you and respected Professor Dr. Atmananji, who has given me opportunity to speak at MDI Murshidabad in the last 2-3 years that I have been doing it. So to start my session, let me first, thank Dr. Banerjee and then my warm welcome to Dr. Raj Agarwal today, who is here, and to all the faculty members, students, and paper presenter who are here for a 2-day conference or an international conference, I would say. And I came to know that this is the first international conference you are doing, which is on business, IT, and enterprise. And see, the situation today in the pandemic, we just completed 6 months yesterday that we have been in the lockdown and in the pandemic situation. And we all know that this pandemic is going to remain till a proper vaccine is found, which is not likely to come by next year. So that is one thing that we have to live with and we have adjusted to it. Now, while we all know that the about COVID-19 pandemic, which is impacting not only people but also impacting business and economy, the impact is unprecedented, and maybe we are still unprepared and unplanned for it. So as you can see, if we see the latest data, the pandemic has spread across the world and has claimed more than 9.7 lakhs lives so far. And in India, we have seen almost 99,000 cases coming almost every day. So, and I was reading a paper by Massachusetts Institute, which is talking about 2,75,000 cases per day by February in India, 2021, which is very alarming. But the happy thing to note that the recoveries are actually very, very good. So that is a silver lining that we have. But as it is said that the government and is trying its best to balance between lockdown and how to revive the economy. And I can talk about the sectors like manufacturing and all, where we have started our operation from May itself. In fact, I have been going to my factory from 24th of May. So the life and livelihood have to be balanced. So this is a situation where every institution is trying to adjust itself, whether it is academics or whether it is a service industry, whether it is a government, whether it is an NGO, or whether it is manufacturing, or so on and so forth. So, but what we see is that the pandemic has actually contracted our economy. In fact, in Maruti's history of almost 40 years, the Q1 of this year was the loss declared of 280 crores, which is unprecedented. This company had never had a loss, but the first quarter, and as you can see, the GDP contracting minus 28% is also something which is unheard of. Now, the growth projections for India is like negative 11.8%. Estimated loss, as you all know, is almost 32,000 crores per day due to this lockdown which has happened. And, losses of jobs is in crores. And like 66 lakhs white collar job was lost just between May and August. So you can imagine that instead of job getting created, jobs are getting lost. Jobs are getting redefined. But there is a silver lining that economy is going to rebound. In fact, we read about various theories of rebound, V shape, U shape. We talked about L shape, which we keep hearing. But just last week, I read about a new theory which has actually emerged, which is called K-shape recovery. So I was wondering what is this K-shape? Other shape I can understand. So K-shape is very, very interesting. It talks about certain sector actually benefiting out of this pandemic. And of course, the other sector which has gone down, So there are sectors like, technology, there are sectors like telecom, there are other high-tech companies which have actually benefited, including pharma has greatly benefited. Companies like Netflix, and there are even Amazon and all those, they have actually grown, and there are many people who have become much richer during this pandemic. So it has actually gone up for them, but then definitely for other sector it has actually gone down. That is the situation. But quickly I would like to talk about few things. The sectors which are impacted the most are aviation, tourism, and hospitality. They are, because of the new norm which has set in, they will take a while before things set in for them. Maybe 2023, a lot of CEOs, global CEOs are talking about revival for this sector, not before 2022, even 2023 Q1. Entertainment is totally gone. I think in the last 6 months, people would not have gone to a theater or to watch a movie in a theater. You are watching movie in the comfort of your home. Reality and infra is another sector which is very badly affected. Logistics, and so is automotive. But in automotive, thankfully for two-wheeler and the passenger car, there is some revival we are seeing. Tractor sector is actually picking up very well. However, commercial is badly hit. Now, some of the challenges for the business or the risk that we are talking about, which is emerged in the last 6 months, is there is a huge impact on demand. There is a huge concern about the safety of employees. Supply chain has been totally disrupted. There is a liquidity and profitability concern. And one of the biggest challenge we are seeing is the adapting to the digitized world. The digital dexterity, as we call it, everybody is facing that problem. Companies are facing the problem because they are not prepared or ready to move into the new norm of working. They don't have digital infrastructure. People are not tech savvy. In fact, I remember 2 years back, if somebody would say to do a webinar, I was not very comfortable doing a webinar because I was not, that tech savvy in terms of using. But today, everybody is using, all kind of platform which is available. Even on mobile, they are able to do video call and all kind of calls. And then there are a lot of cyber threats which are happening. There is a non-availability of workforce. So all these challenges have emerged, and these are the certain risks which we see, which has emerged these days. Now, some of the concern quickly I would like to talk about, since I am from the corporate side, some of the challenges that the HR is facing these days and employees are also facing is like health and well-being is number one. How to manage remote work has become very challenging for us. How to manage that, because our all employees are sitting at home. How do we create engagement? How do we ensure that productivity is there? How do we ensure work-life balance is there? So all this is actually becoming a big challenge for the company. Then there are challenges of jobs and jobs continuity. And then there are issues now emerging out of stress is the mental health issues. People are so stressed at home and they are not able to balance between their work. Some people are isolated. They are not able to move out. There is a risk. So all this has caused mental stress. And then on top of the employee's mind is because of the contracting business, they are worried about their jobs, their job security. Money is the biggest issue because they are not able to pay their children fees. They are not able to pay rent. They are not able to pay their EMIs. So these are the challenges which is there, and that we have to manage. Now, some of the upcoming trend which is going to actually get established once this pandemic is over is that full-time job is going to reduce and gig economy is going to be the mainstream. That's for sure, because now companies are seeing that without office infrastructure, with lesser number of people, they are able to operate and they are still productive. So this is going to create a lot of gig working, which we are already seeing. Remote and digital working is going to become the norm. I think in one of the CEOs survey, the CEOs were saying that 50% of people will not come back to work. So they are very, very confident about it. Salaries will become unfixed. The pay slip, the heads that you are seeing today is going to change. New jobs of different kind is already getting created, which never existed earlier, and lot of jobs will evaporate. And new job skills will be required. Fitment will overrule qualification. Qualification doesn't mean that you will do this job. You will have to have the right skill. Similarly, reskilling and readoption will emerge even faster. And last but not the least is that people should not leave hope. And they keep on trying new venture. In fact, in the various pandemic which has happened, including last Lehman crisis which happened, many new companies emerged. In fact, WhatsApp was the creation of 2008 pandemic, and you know the valuation of WhatsApp. So just to conclude, I would like to say that we have certain competencies on which we operate, which is the DNA of the people or the organization. And some of the competencies which was relevant till yesterday will not be relevant today and tomorrow. So those competencies are the fundamentals or values on which the organization works. So you may have a lot of fundamentals like teamwork and so on and so forth, customer centricity and things like that. But in today's context, the competencies that organization and people have to develop are resilience. They are talking about resilience and empathy, which is required. Digital dexterity, we have understood that if we are not tech savvy, if we are not technological, or we are not able to scale, if we do not have non-linear thinking, our digital dexterity is poor, those companies are not going to survive. Connected leadership. Today, people are in different places and still are being managed. So from, they are highly networked. But how do you get connected to them is very, very important. So connected leadership is how you empower your team, whether you are accessible to them, are you keen for result. Then another DNA that people have to develop or competency is the frugal mindset. How to work with constraint, how to be innovative, how to do more with less. So there will be a lot of challenges. Cognitive flexibility is another competency that people will have to develop, which is like letting go past, how to adapt effectively. And then last is pragmatic orientation, which is how you become resourceful, how you act and iterate faster. Because these are some of the competencies the students community have to develop in them, because they are the one who are going to get into industry or education or research or all kind of areas. New competencies they have to develop in themselves to adapt to the environment. So as even Darwin said that it is the survival of the fittest, and there will be struggle for existence. So only those will survive who are able to fit into the new environment. And to fit into the new environment, you have to develop these kind of competencies. So just to close, as John F. Kennedy said, that there is nothing more certain and unchanging than uncertainty and change. So with these thoughts, I would like to thank the faculty, students, and all the dignitaries for your time and patience. I hope you find the next 2 days immensely useful and have a lot of takeaways from the same. So thank you once again for inviting me for this opening session. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Musarrat Hussain sir. It's indeed a pleasure listening to you. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our guest of honor, Dr. Raj Agarwal. Dr. Raj Agarwal currently is the professor and director of All India Management Association Center for Management Education, that is IMA CME. He is also a visiting research professor in Montana State University, Billings, United States. He has more than 35 years of academic experience of working in prestigious national institutions like All India Management Association, Association of Indian Universities, Motilal Regional Engineering College, and other national institutes. He is also actively associated with statutory bodies like All India Council of Technical Education, NAC, and National Board of Accreditation, that is NBA. He has he has organized several training programs, both for reputed public and private sector companies like ONGC, Engineers India Limited, Power Grid Corporation, Delhi Metro, NTPC, Indian Oil, HDFC, ICICI Bank, etc. He also delivered sessions in these programs as resource person at middle and board level. Dr. Agarwal has done PhD from Allahabad University, a prolific writer and keen researcher. He has written more than 100 articles in leading national and international journals. He has also authored and edited more than 10 books on management. He is consultant in World Bank and regularly invited by national and overseas organizations to deliver talks on contemporary economic and social issues. With these words, I request Dr. Raj Agarwal to give his address. Over to Dr. Raj Agarwal.
Thank you, Sobik. Mr. Nusrat Hussain, Chief Guest of the conference, Dr. Atmanand, Director, MDIM, Professor Bikramjit Pal, Ms. Nupur and Dr. Banerjee. I am really delighted, privileged and honored to be a part of this prestigious international conference organized by MDIM. Theme is really very interesting: business, IT, and enterprise architecture. And this conference is rightly named ICBIT 2020. The design of conference is completely based on resurgence of business in this era of COVID. This is really a very challenging topic, and the kind of this keynote speakers, kind of papers, kind of sessions, and kind of participants from India and abroad, which have come in this conference, this is really very encouraging and very motivating. We know and we have witnessed 3 revolutions, and these revolutions have brought about significant technological development over a period of more than 2 centuries. And we are well aware that currently world is witnessing
Sir, you are
on mute, sir. Dr.
sorry.
Agarwal. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, yeah. So which is taking this technology adoption by the world to a whole new level. The 4th industrial revolution, we know that this is also happening in this era of COVID. So that's why this is becoming more and more significant, because now we are using more and more technology and more and more digitization and IT technology for the purpose of our day-to-day work. We know that this kind of technology is bringing different silos in a production as well as in service system through network, and allowing real data sharing, and also facilitating machine to machine and human to machine interaction of in an unprecedented speed and scale. Therefore, this is very, very important for us to discuss and find it out that what are the ways by which we can use this kind of technology for the purpose of our economic development. I was going through the various researches published by this consulting companies such as McKinsey, PwC, Economics Intelligence Unit, and I noticed that 6 features they have identified, 6 technological trends they have identified. First technological trend they have identified in a form of sensing, interfacing, and material technology. And we have already seen that this has impacted organizations through increasing demand for the product and services, and there is a wider use. Second technological trend, this is optimization technologies, which includes artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, and this have resulted in the diversification of consumers, diversification of consumer preference, as well as resulted in diversification of production systems. Third and very important trend, a technological trend, which we are witnessing, this is a platform for connecting device, and currently which we are also using this platform for connecting devices, and this is definitely affected the structure of the organization, as chief guest was also talking that how this organizational structure, how workforce is going to be affected, and architecture by having the sharing of these assets. And India, this is also going to happen in a big way. Fourth trend, technological trend, this is mobility and cloud technologies. This is opening new opportunities, how this collaboration among organizations, this is going to take place. Fifth trend, this is a decentralized small scale manufacturing, which includes 3D printing, and this is providing more and more agility to the businesses. These technological trend, this is coupled with digitization, and these are the more and more innovative methods which have made a tremendous impact on our society as well as economy. We know one of the largest digitization initiative in the world is Digital India, which aims to transform India into digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. But digitization in major industries and organizations need a major upgrade, and these raises several important questions. Some of the important questions which we need to ponder. This is how technology is changing organization. What are the key results area for organization in digital economy? How HR can contribute to digital transformation of business? How medium and small scale industries in India can benefit by digitization through these kind of this technological changes. And lastly, how there could be a balance in factors of productions, land, labor, capital, and organization. So how we are going to use this digitization, how organizations are going to develop their strategies for the balanced and sustainable development by taking into account the strength of economy. This is agriculture and small scale businesses. We know and we witness that all the sectors of economy, they were in negative growth zone, but agriculture is which is providing the resilience to Indian economy, that has in this pandemic situation, even by having a biggest supply chain disruption, was able to maintain a growth rate of 3.5. Therefore, it is very, very important that how MSMEs as well as this agriculture sector is going to be benefited in a balanced way by having a balance of all the factors of production in our economy. We know ultimately organization changes when people changes. Business strategies in digital age has to be driven by the employee desire and ability to take initiative and take this forward. What is important that here currently human resources for digital age, that also requires a reinvention of strategies and methods for hiring, training, evaluation, reward, and engagement. And currently, this is becoming very, very important for the organization. HR is also emerging a very important function. HR needs to facilitate organization through transformation for winning in the physical and digital realm, and also for agility to adopt to shift in technology and market. HR has to manage currently in this complex scenario here HR has to take into consideration multi-generation workforce. Our chief guest has pointed out how this gig workers, which are becoming more and more important, how this contract worker, these are going to be very, very important, and HR, how HR itself is going to be automated, and how HR professionals have to learn to work with data, robotics, and artificial intelligence to do their jobs. I hope that this digitization we are going to take in a very balanced manner by taking into consideration that ultimate aim and objective of development is balanced and sustainable manner, and we need to make a balance in all sectors of economy. And I hope that this conference is going to be very, very successful. Lastly, we have a collaboration MOU with the MDIM, and I hope that this collaboration is going to prosper further. We are going to have more and more cases based on digitization, based on this new form of technology, and this conference definitely providing us an opportunity, both of us, that how more and more cases on typical Indian ethos, issues, challenges, Indian scenario that could be developed. Thank you very much for inviting me and giving me this kind of opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Agarwal, for your nice talk. So thanks a lot. So with this, I hand it over to Dr. Bikramjit Pal for the further proceedings of the ceremony. Dr. Pal.
Thank you, Dr. Souvik Banerjee. Now, to continue with the proceedings, I'll now request our special invitee from Springer, Ms. Nupur Singh, to address the gathering. Over to you, Ms. Nupur Singh.
Thank you, Dr. Pal. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay. Good morning to all of you. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I'm really looking forward to some very good deliberations coming out from this conference. I would like to thank Dr. Bikramjit Pal in particular, because he has been in touch with me and we have been discussing how to bring out a conference proceeding from this conference. Let me start by talking a little bit about Springer Nature. I think everybody must be aware about it. So, respected Professor Atmanandji, the Director of MDIM, dignitaries and panelists, faculty and students, all of you who have taken time and joined today despite these difficult times that we find ourselves in. This conference is really going to talk about some very, very pertinent and relevant topics in today's times that we find ourselves in, and I'm really looking forward to the papers. All the panelists have been talking about how this pandemic has disrupted our lives. In particular, I would say that it has affected people in the research community a lot, because we thrive on human interactions. We thrive on peer-to-peer discussions, So these are some things which are completely absent from the digital world. It's very nice to have a conference, with all the very modern technology that allows us to have this conference. But I'm sure all of us are really, really looking forward to going back to the times when we could really, interact closely with each other and throw off ideas to. And some of it would come out in really good papers that would be published later on. Right. So with that, let me just tell you a little bit about Springer Nature. This was a company that was formed a few years ago by the merger of two stalwarts in the publishing world, Springer and Macmillan Science and Education. This brings a lot of very, very international brands under one umbrella, like Nature Research, Biomed Central, Springer, Scientific American, and Palgrave Macmillan. So the core of the company is more than 175 years old. So both Palgrave and Palgrave Macmillan and Springer recently celebrated 175 years in academic publishing. So that you know, shows the kind of experience and the amount of research that we bring to the table. So currently we have more than 13,000 employees in over 50 countries. That ensures that the research that we put in there out for everybody is very balanced. It talks about all the perspective from every corner of the world. And that we do through about more than 3,000 journals and that are being published by us. And to this, we add a formidable repertoire of about 13,000 books annually. So 13,000 scholarly books are added to our content every year. And also, I would like to mention over here our commitment towards technology and towards, you know, looking at more innovative ways of publishing to make it more accessible to all. We started with being the first publishers to start open access, and now we have more than 600 journals that are publishing open access papers. Recently, we celebrated 1,000 open access books as well. So apart from that, our journal portfolio allows something which is called Share It, which you know, kind of makes a paper readable for almost all if you have a link to it. So you can, if you like a paper and you know the author, get in touch with them and ask them to send you a link to read if you do not have you know, download access. So this link essentially provides you with the ability to read it, not download or print, but read it, which is like half the battle won in any case. So this allows us to have more than 250 million downloads of our content every year. So that's amazing. That shows that research is there. It's not dying out. It's thriving. Even in these conditions, downloads have really increased. People are at home, even from home. They are working on this, conducting, you know, putting their ideas out there, trying to read up new stuff. And this also shows from more and more Nobel laureates, you know, publishing with us. So with this, I'll just you know, say that I'm really looking forward to the conference volume of this conference, which will consist of some selected papers that the committee will select after a review process, and that will contain some very pertinent papers very pertinent in today's times, because I've seen the themes and they are really very relevant to today's times. And I wish you all a very great conference with very good deliberations. Thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you, Ms. Nupur Singh, for those words. Now I request Dr. Souvik Banerjee to continue with the proceedings.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Pal. Thank you, Nupur Singh. So with this, we come to the end of the inauguration ceremony. Thank all the dignitaries, Ms. Nupur Singh, our chief guest, Mr. Musarrat Hussain, our guest of honor, Dr. Raj Agarwal, our director, respected director, Sir Dr. Atmanand. So we are thankful to all of you for your valuable time on a working day, right? Thank you. Thanks a lot. So with this, we conclude the inauguration ceremony. Now we'll shortly will be joined by Dr. Sanjit Rai from University of Western Australia. So he will give the keynote, first keynote. So thank you all, and for the audience, I'll just request them to stay on. So thank you. Thank you, Musarat Hussain ji. Thank you, Raj Agarwal ji, and thank you, Nupur Singh, madam.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Musarat ji, for giving your valuable
No,
time.
it's our pleasure, Dr. Saab, to address at MDI anytime. Thank you, Nupur, and thank you, Dr. Raj Agarwal. Thank you, Dr. Shomik. Thank you very much, sir. So I hope I can leave now. I can leave now.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have
So in few minutes, Dr. Sanjit is joining from Australia. I think Dr. Sanjit has joined us.
Yeah, he has joined.
Yeah, he has joined us. So welcome, Dr. Sanjit.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. Thanks.
So it's really a pleasure to have you as our keynote speaker. So without much ado, we'll start. We'll start, right, Dr. Sanjit?
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So we'll start. So let me introduce Dr. Sanjit, our first keynote speaker. So it's indeed a pleasure to introduce Dr. Sanjit K. Roy. Dr. Sanjit K. Roy is an associate professor of marketing and a fellow at the Center for Business Data Analytics at UWA Business School, the University of Western Australia. He is also an honorary fellow at the Australia India Institute at UWA chapter. He is a certified Lego Serious Play Facilitator. He is an associate editor at European Journal of Marketing and on the editorial boards of Journal of Business Research, Journal of Services Marketing, Journal of Service Theory and Practice, and Journal of Strategic Marketing. He is guest editing special issues for Journal of Marketing Management and International Journal of Information Management. His research interests include experiential marketing, impact of new technologies, that is AI, robots, etc., on services, transformative service research. He has published in journals including Industrial Marketing Management, European Journal of Marketing, Journal of Business Research, International Journal of Information Management, Journal of Marketing Management, Internet Research, Information System Frontiers, Journal of Services Marketing, and Journal of Service Theory and Practice, among others. He also co-edited 3 case books published by Springer, that is Marketing Cases for Emerging Markets, number 1. Number 2, Services Marketing Cases in Emerging Markets, an Asian Perspective, and Strategic Marketing Cases in Emerging Markets. He was a visiting scholar at Bentley University, USA, and visiting research fellow at Middlesex University, UK. He was awarded UWA's Vice Chancellor's Early Career Investigators Award 2015 and selected in UWA's Emerging Research Leader Program in 2018. The topic of this talk, today's talk, is Service Encounters in Post-COVID Times. With this, over to Dr. Sanjit.
Thanks, Dr. Souvik, for this kind introduction. And please allow me to share my screen. And while I'm sharing the screen, I must, could you please provide me rights to share the screen?
Yeah, you have to make host. Yeah, I'll request our IT person to kindly make you the host or co-host.
Sir, permission given, sir.
Permission given, yes.
Okay, before I begin, I must thank Dr. Souvik for this kind invitation and to be one of the keynote speakers for this conference, which is acronymed as ICBT. So I must thank you, Souvik, for your kind invitation, which I accepted. Having accepted the invitation, Souvik wanted me to talk about COVID and its impact, and that is one topic that I don't want to speak about. And in the last 6 months, I would have been a part of at least half a dozen talks, and I've tried to consciously avoid COVID for obvious reasons, But Souvik said that it would be good if you can integrate COVID in the area of research that we would like to talk and try to integrate with the theme of the conference. So here I am, the first talk. And I must warn you, I'm no expert on pandemic and its impact on business, but whatever I'm going to talk about is my understanding of service research in the last 9 years post my PhD and how COVID possibly is going to impact service delivery and the operations of service firms. So I will try to limit my talk around those two dimensions. But before I begin, I must pay my regards and my homage to my late supervisor, Dr. A.K. Rao. Unfortunately, he passed away January this year. I could not meet him. I was in India, but for some reason we could not connect this year. My regards. If I am with you today, a large percentage of that comes from Dr. A.K. Rao and his way of guiding me. So all my homages, all my respect to my supervisor, who is always with me, even if he's not on this planet. With that, we should begin. And as we said, that today's topic is about service encounters in post-COVID times. And the theme of the conference, you must see, is on business IT enterprise architecture. So it's quite broad and generic. I will try to weave a story around business management and technology and try to give you a flavor of services. Now, service encounter. Let me begin with service encounter, and I will try to make it as laymanish as possible, so that everybody is on board. Even if you are not a service scholar, you are on board. So service encounter comprises of primarily two words, service plus encounter. So let me take you to the genesis of services. So service plus encounter gives you service encounter. But if you go back and try to understand how service has evolved, then let me take you to what does the word service come from? So the service word comes from the Latin word servus, which means slave, servant, or serf. Now, whenever I look up the definition, I always ask how many of our service providers actually behave like a slave or at least like a servant or a serf. Now, that's a big question to ask in the present times. How many of you are actually serving and not only geared towards profit, right? When I look up the meaning of encounter in dictionary, so Cambridge Dictionary defines encounter both as a noun and as a verb. So encounter is defined as a meeting with someone or something, right? So it could be an employee, it could be a technology, it could be the company, it could be any stakeholder of an organization, right? And encounter is also defined as an experience, right? So these are broadly the genesis of the term service encounter. Now, in the service domain, in the services marketing / management domain, service encounter has been traditionally defined, and I must remind you, service is a very young discipline. The first conversations around services started in early 80s with some of the stalwarts in our field like Len Berry, Parasuraman, Zeitmal, and Berry around early 80s, and it is growing since then. So in the initial days of services marketing, how did people define or understood service encounter? So SE stands for service encounter. The service encounters are were primarily understood as the dyadic interactions between customers and service providers or service firms. And they refer as distinct moments where customers interact with a concrete service interface. Now, I choose the words very carefully, and these are taken from well cited references. The service interface could be a human. Now, service interface could be a technology. Service interface could be anywhere where a customer interacts with the firm, right? So that is the traditional definition of service encounter. Now that we call in the language of services as service encounter 1.0, but there are some synonymous terms that are used in the literature. So those who are service scholars today in the audience can concur with me that some of the terms which are synonymously used are touch points, moments of truth, and these days, one term that is very common in the language of service scholar and marketing scholars is customer's journey. So when we look at different distinct service encounters and we try to plot them over a time period, we get something called as the customer journey. And mapping a customer's journey is one of the things that every organization is trying to figure out at the moment. What is the best way to do that and what are its implications? So these are some of the synonymous terms. If you want to tease out the differences, you can, but overall, on the surface, these mean more or less the same. Now let me give you an example of a service encounter. Let me we have done some work in the financial services sector, in the banking sector when I was working in Britain with some colleagues from Nottingham and Coventry. And we looked at primarily the service interactions or service encounters between customers in the financial services sector. So let me talk about how my father, who is in his 70s, a handsome old fellow, and how he banks. Now, he still believes in the traditional banking encounters. So he still prefers to walk to his bank teller and does his banking transactions. However, if you compare with me, how I bank, I primarily bank sitting on my couch, on my tab, on my mobile phone. Now, I've chosen one example of a Bankwest. I'm a customer of Bankwest. In no way I'm promoting Bankwest, but I'm a customer of Bankwest. I'm a happy customer of Bankwest. Now, Bankwest recently developed something called a Halo Ring. So you don't need to carry your wallet. All your information is stored in a ring. If the ring is in your finger, you knock on the payment device and the payment goes through. So that is a big difference between how my father encounters a bank and how I encounter a bank. And these two examples clearly distinguishes how service encounter literature has evolved in the last 30, 40 years, right? So that the traditional way of doing banking, why we care about service encounters? Why do we care about, why do we spend time, energy, money, effort, as an organization to understand service encounter? Because each positive service encounter, when I say positive means a customer has come to the bank, he wants to deposit a check, very simple transaction, how easy it is for him to do that transaction and whether he goes home with a happy feeling. That is a positive service encounter. So we want to understand, because every company wants to understand the quality perceptions of customers, whether the customer is happy or not, and whether the customer is willing to continue his relationship with me, the bank. So these are some of the outcome variables, traditional outcome variables that companies are interested in. So hence, we need to spend time, energy, effort, money, everything to understand service encounter. Let me take you back to service encounter 1.0. That is the traditional service encounter. And as marketeers, we love our triangles. As marketeers, we love our 2x2, 3x3 matrices. So how can I not love one triangle, right? So service encounter 1.0. One of the triangles that is very popular in the service domain is service triangle. I tried to customize a little bit to suit our discussion. So what are the three ends of a service triangle? The three ends are primarily customers, employees, and the service providers of the service. Now, the doctor has ordered that if there is an interaction, a positive interaction between all of these ends of the triangle, value evolves or value is created, right? Now, if there is a positive interaction between customers and service firms, we call that as external marketing. Now, in the language of Christian Gronros calls it making promises. Now, for example, if you have checked in a hotel and you want to spend 2 nights at a hotel, how peaceful your 2 nights are, whether you have a peaceful sleep, Those are some of the promises that I make as a hotel. So that is external marketing. Internal marketing is the interaction between the firm and the employees. And there is a big history of research on internal marketing, which is taking a new twist now where we have a research on frontline employees or organizational frontlines. So it's taking a rebirth in the service research domain, right? So this is called, Christian Gronrus calls it enabling promises. When employees interact with customers, we call it as the delivery of the promise. Now, just before the start of my our today's keynote, I received a package. I just bought a watch a couple of days ago, and the delivery man kept the watch. They promised 2 days, they delivered in 2 days, and that's how you create value. So I promised I will deliver your watch in 2 days, and I delivered your watch in 2 days. So I make promise, I enable promise, and I keep my promise or deliver my promise. So this is a traditional service triangle where you create value when all the arms of the triangle creates positive, right? So what Christian Gronrus says in one of his recent articles in General Services Marketing is it's all about promise management. So service research or service domain is all about making promises and fulfilling that promise. So it's all about promise management. Fast forward. So that's traditionally my dad does that kind of an interaction. He still does that kind of interaction. But 10 years, 15 years down the line, say early 2000, mid 2000, excuse me, we had some papers published in Journal of Marketing and Journal of Service Research by Muter and her colleagues about self-service technologies or SSTs. So now the technology is making its entry into the domain of services. So technology infusion is happening in the service delivery domain or service encounter. So it's no more the human-to-human interaction. Now customers are also interacting with technology. So Bart Larvier and his colleagues in Journal of Business Research 2017 nicely captures this idea in the term Service Encounter 2.0. So the idea is very simple. And we are still with the same service triangle. So this diagram is adopted from Brody et al.'s work in marketing theory, I think 2009, around that. They published an article in marketing theory. So we still have external marketing, we still have internal marketing, we still have interactive marketing, and value is created. But what is happening is more and more technology is getting infused in how we interact. So just like service encounter is one of the foundational premise of services, interaction is one of the foundational elements of services and service encounters. So we just cannot create value without interaction. So it's not only a transactional phenomena, it's an interaction, it's a relationship, right? But what is happening is we have more and more technologies are coming in the form of AI, robotics, machine learning, deep learning, you name it, and it's there in the world. And if you look at this, technology is impacting every arm of the service triangle. How they are interacting is the question, and what is there for service firms to take it forward. Now let me take the positive view first. So if technology has a positive impact on each of these triangles, like external marketing, how we do our communication and advertising and stuff like that, how we interact with our employees, how our employees interact with our customers, each and every domain is being impacted by technologies, right? So days are not far that I will walk into a class with a robot. So robot and me will teach together, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line. I don't know. But yes, that is a very distinct possibility. But the whole dynamics is going to change, right? So I'm going to create value if there is a positive impact of these technologies. So some of these technologies like self-driving cars, but online retailing, IBM's Interact, and these are all some of the classic examples of what we call as disembodied AI, an AI which does not have a physical form, but it exists, right? And it is making its presence felt in the business world, in the service world. Along with disembodied AI, we also have something called embodied AI, where the AI has a physical form, and you can see a moving object which looks very much like you, and we call that as embodied AI. Now, there is a plethora of research in the last 2 to 3 years that has come in service literature about the pros and cons of AI. But if you read Tom Davenport's recent book called The AI Advantage, and there is another book from MIT Press called The Technology Fallacy, they clearly make a case that it's not about technology only, it's about people, right? It's about change management and how these technologies can be fine-tuned to have a positive impact is the burning question for all service providers, right? Now, as a result of this, if there are positive impacts, firms can create value, right? In terms of seamless customer experience, in terms of service convenience, in terms of personalized service, in terms of enjoyment, you name it, in terms of societal benefits. So when technology is our friend, they create all sorts of goodies for us, right? However, technology can also have a negative impact on all of these arms of the triangle, service triangle. Look at the centerpiece here. It's no more value creation, it's value destruction, right? Now, for example, recently we did a case study about a robot called Fabio. Fabio was a robot which was commissioned at one of the Scottish retailers. And as soon as it was commissioned, customers started getting scared of that robot, and the retailer had to actually decommission that robot. So there was some sort of a negative value creation or a negative impact of that robot happening when it came to interaction between the customer and the robot. So they had to decommission it. The case is forthcoming. Very soon it will come out in one of the premier case outlets, and we'll share that when it is published. Right? So there is a value destruction that is happening, at least between this interaction between employees and customers. So along with employees, you have the technology which is interacting with the customer, but in a negative way. So value instead of value creation, value destruction. There's a lot of talk about value creation. We spend very less time on value destruction, which is very potent and very much possible if one small thing goes wrong. For example, Fabio, right? So how are we destroying value if we are not using technology to our advantage? So privacy issues. The other day, my wife was saying, I'm going to delete my Facebook account. I said, why? What happened? Now, it seems that somebody is always looking at me, what I'm doing, you know. The moment I search up something, Facebook is full of that ad. So the other day, I was looking for a pet insurance. I recently had a pet. And the moment I was off Google and I was on Facebook, Facebook was full of. Even when I was in YouTube listening to some music, YouTube is full of. So there is some sort of algorithm running in the background who is always keeping a track of what I'm doing and trying to target me in the real time. But she doesn't like it. So she wants her privacy, right? Secrecy issues, financial and societal costs. Now, the Australian government is very concerned about these privacy issues. There are some cybersecurity threats. So technology not doing well can create all sorts of problems. There are people who are not ready to learn this technology the traditional way, like my father. He's happy traditional banking. He doesn't go to ATM machine to withdraw money. He doesn't like that. The time and the effort that it takes for him to learn, he's not ready to do that or spend that time and effort, right? So in that way, the new technology is not creating value for him, or rather destroying value for him. So there is kind of a duality here happening. So value creation and value destruction. Now, as a practitioner, we need to keep this duality of technology in mind, you know, when we are thinking of implementing technology. And that is very much coming out in this book called The AI Advantage or the Technology Fallacy, that let us not only look at the positive side of it, look at the negative side of it, but technology is all about enabling. Technology is not everything, it's the people. 2020 comes, transforms everything. Whatever we knew about business, how we operate business, how we run services, how we deliver service, everything is being transformed forever, I would say, right? We have not done any research on COVID. All the research that we are doing at the moment is work in progress. Maybe next year or next to next year, we will have some publications out. But given what we have spent time and energy, we'll try to weave a story today. So 2020, the only story that I remember is COVID-19 coronavirus, social distancing, physical distancing, work from home, stay home, 2-meter distance. And, I'm learning swimming. I cannot even shake hand with my swimming instructor. What a shame it is, right? He's training me life skills and I cannot shake hand with him because I'm scared that I will contract a virus, right? So there is some sort of a value destruction that is happening. Now, it's no one's fault. It's not the service provider's fault. It's not the company's fault. It's not the customer's fault. It's not the community's fault. It's an external shock that has come and changed the dynamics of how we operate, right? I'm still with the service triangle. So what is happening now is technology was considered to be a disruptor. Now we have another disruptor, which is rewriting the rules of the game, right? And that is COVID-19. How is it disrupting? All the arms of the service triangle, it is impacting in a negative way, right? Now the employees, they are scared to touch any surface. If I go to my work, I'm scared to touch the knob of my door, of my office door. I'm scared to shake hands. And I'll tell you a story. I was having a lunch with my wife, I think a couple of months ago, and by chance, 2 of my colleagues came to the same restaurant. I extended my hand, one of them shook my hand, and one of them elbowed with me. Now, why? Why is it happening? Because some are scared, or most people are scared. So there is knowingly, unknowingly, there is a negative value creation or value destruction that is COVID is bringing. But along with that, I think there are some challenges, there are some opportunities also. So the challenge is, if there is a value destruction, the biggest question that is looming large on all of the service providers or most of the service providers at the moment is, how do I transform value destruction to value creation, right? That's the biggest challenge for service providers. So how do I make this negative effect to a positive effect? The COVID, of course, has transformed, has kind of ruined many businesses, but how we can transform that negative value creation or value destruction to a value creation kind of a domain. We need to ask those questions, because unless we ask those questions, we cannot move on as a race, the human race, right? So what is changing? Let us see. What is changing from Service Encounter 1.0 to Service Encounter 2.0? Something is changing. What is changing? Interactions are changing. And I must remind you, at the beginning we say, interactions are the foundational premise of service encounters. And interactions are changing as a result of technology infusion from Service Encounter 1.0 to Service Encounter 2.0, right? So Service Encounters, primarily, it was a human-to-human interaction, right? But in SETO 2.0, like, there is a new player, which is technology. So there is a technology interaction that is happening, and that is rewriting the games, right? So that is primarily the change that is happening, or that was happening pre-COVID era. What we argue in one of our research, ongoing research, that Service Encounter 2.0 is leading way or giving way to Service Encounter 3.0. There is a new reality that is emerging. There is a new, I'm sorry, my dog is creating some noise here. So a Service Encounter 3.0 is emerging, right? What is that? What is that Service Encounter 3.0? So we still have human-to-human interaction, like customer to customer, customer to employee, employee to employee. Human to technology is still there, but there is a new type of interaction that is coming, and that is changing everything. So C stands for customer, E stands for employee. So customer / employee to surface interaction. Now these days, even before I go and work on my computer at my office, I'm concerned whether should I touch it or not. I am not willing to touch the self-service technology device to pay at a grocery retailer, because I'm concerned that the surface might have a virus, right? Now we are scared as a human, as a customer, as an employee. There is always someone who is cleaning the surfaces. So there is a new type of interaction that is happening, and we are scared of is interaction between human and surface of anything, of your desk, of your tablet, of the payment device, right? Why? And all of these at the moment in Service Encounter 3.0, we are always scared of ill health or we are scared of death. That what happens if I contract the virus from the surface? So what shall we do as a service provider, as a service firm, right? So we are scared, we are sad, we are depressed. Now it's across the board, right? Regardless of the type of job you do, this is the real thing that is happening in the present times, right? So people are scared, people are suffering, right? So if people are suffering, we need service providers. And service providers have the capacity and the ability to become healers. Now, how can I heal the sufferers or the sufferings of the people, right? How can we create an environment where they feel safe? Safety is of primary concern. And I get these ideas from my latest reading, The Healing Organization by Raj Sisodia and Michael Gill. It's a fabulous read, and this healer term I adopted from there. These two books have very big influence on my thought process as an academic. Conscious Capitalism, which appeared a few years ago, which talks about bringing consciousness in the capitalistic system, right? So we need service providers which can act as healers in the post-COVID times. So what COVID has made or transformed the society where safety is the main concern for people. Now, safety is the multidimensional construct, right? Safety for my life, safety for my finance, safety for a whole gamut of things. So safety is the main concern. Now, today you're not concerned about fine dining, right? All you're concerned about is whether I have enough pasta sauce, enough rice, sweet potato in your house, right? So that you can get by the lockdown period. So you're not concerned about the psychological and those things. You're only concerned about the functional benefit. I eat, I survive, right? So Berry et al. In his recent piece in General Service Research talks about 4 types of safety dimensions, or 4 types of safety. And one of the primary safety dimension that, according to Berry, or even in our research, it is coming, that information safety is what drives all other safety dimensions. So emotional safety, people are losing job in bulk, right? Hundreds and thousands of people all over the world are losing job. People are distressed, people are unhappy. So they're not emotionally safe. There is no physical safety also. I'm scared to touch even a surface, let alone a person, right? So we are scared to shake hands. We are always masked. And so we are concerned about all sorts of safety here. And if you look at that, information safety in a big way drives all other safety. But they are not like mutually exclusive. They are interdependent. They are interrelated, right? So there is an interrelationship between emotional safety and physical safety. There is an interrelationship between financial safety and physical safety. And there is an interrelationship between financial safety and emotional safety. All of these, in a way, is affecting our well-being, the psychological well-being of people, right? Not customers, not employees, the people. Right? So what is the challenge for service providers in the post-COVID times or during COVID times, right? Post-COVID, I don't know whether we will have a vaccine, whether it is going to cure COVID. I hope it does. But if it does not, then what is going to be the new abnormal? Now, we use often new normal. It's not going to be normal. Many uses a term called new abnormal. I very much like that idea. It's not going to be normal again. It's going to take a decade, 2 decades to become normal again. Right? So what should we do as a service provider? Now, service provider, I say, we have the capacity to change the world, to transform the world, right? We have the capacity to make people feel safe again. We don't want to make loyal customers anymore. We want to make customers who feel safe. So our dependent variables needs to be rethought, right? We want to make people feel embraced. not left alone, right? There was a recent book I was reading by Raj Sisodia and a colleague of his called Everybody Matters. So don't leave anybody behind. Take everybody along. So the burning question of our times, which are very turbulent, is whether employees, customers, communities, and we need to talk about communities, can trust the service firms to keep them safe and secure, right? It's not about selling the exquisite food. It's not about selling the fantastic suit. It's just making the people safe and secure. Can we do that? If we want to do that, we want to work on one of our traditional constructs in service marketing, service management, or service research, rebuild trust or build trust. And we can only build trust by reimagining service operations and marketing. How do we operate? How do we market our products? We need to rethink all of that. And this conference will be a nice platform where we rethink our operations, we rethink our marketing practices, we rethink our human resource practices, right? I go back to start with why, Simon Sinek. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek. And his golden circle, what a fabulous idea he has in this golden circle. And he has these three circles: what, how, and why. Just quickly, the outcome. What is mostly outcome? What Simon Sinek says is everybody knows, or all companies know what they are doing. Many a times they know how they are doing, but most of the times they don't know what is their higher purpose. So it's not the purpose only, it's the higher purpose. And that's what Simon Sinek says in his book, Start With Why. Now, this is the high time that we re-examine the golden circle of Simon Sinek. That what is our higher purpose as a service organization in the present times, given coronavirus and its impact? Is it the purpose of the service organization making money, or the purpose or the higher purpose of service organizations taking care of people, healing people, right? We need to have a conversation around those. The fundamental question we are asking is, what is the higher purpose of service organizations? Even we need to ask how we do that, because coronavirus has changed the operational issues, how we are going to operate. You look at your pizza, simple pizza delivery, and they say contactless delivery, right? Now, what is service without contact? But in the present times, contactless is the new normal, or should I say the new abnormal, right? So we need to revisit the higher purpose of service business. So what should be the purpose of service provider in post-COVID times? We need to alleviate the suffering of the people, as we established that people are going through bad times, people are suffering. Alleviate suffering, elevate people's joy. Let us serve the need of all the stakeholders, starting with employees, customers, and communities, right? Again, borrowing from the healing organization. But why do we bother? Why do we need to bother about healing? Why do we need to bother about alleviating suffering, elevating joy, and serving all the stakeholders? And it links back to Freeman's stakeholder theory, where customer is not the only stakeholder, it's other stakeholders as well, right? So again, we'll go back to the traditional trust theory, trust research, that trust leads to higher customers' willingness to buy. And if we can rebuild trust, employees will be willing to work hard. But I'm raising a question, do we need a conversation on a different set of DVs, dependent variables? Willingness to buy is suffering because people have less money. Employees' willingness to work hard is suffering because people are losing jobs, people are taking pay cuts. So where is the willingness to work hard, right? Because the extrinsic motivation is reduced. How far can you travel with intrinsic motivation only? So do we need a different set of DVs? We argue in our work that yes, we need a different set of DVs, like customer happiness. SOH, we call it share of heart, share of wallet. There is a plethora of research on share of wallet. We need more research on share of heart. We need more research on customers' well-being, overall well-being, right? We need more research on employee happiness, share of heart of employees, and well-being of employees. There's a big research on service profit chain by Heskett et al., very popular, 1994 Harvard Business Review, which says that a happy employee creates a happy customer. Now here the employee is unhappy, the customer is unhappy. So we need a stakeholder approach to make all the stakeholders happy. We need a different set of DVs. So trust is the game changer to moving forward. It should be the focus. But how to build trust in service encounters in this new normal? I'm conscious of the time. Okay, we are doing well on time. So the answer lies in the trust triangle. Now, there are so many research. You just Google trust in Scholar Google, and you will see 100,000 hits about trust research. But Free and Morris in the latest book, The Unleashed, talks about a trust triangle. And I think that fits the bill of the present service providers in the post-COVID times. What they argue is we need to be authentic as service provider. We need to provide a logic. Now, when I say authentic, we mean that when customers or employees think that they are interacting with you, they must think that they are interacting with the authentic company. Now, just yesterday, it was all over the news in Australia that some of the big banks have been fined for their misdoings, right? So for their wrongdoings. Now, whether they're authentic is a big question for those banks. We want to raise an authentic image of our organization in the society. We want to provide a logic that so that people have faith in our judgment and in our competence as an organization. And we need to have an empathy, a faith with empathy, when they should believe that you exist as an organization because you care for the stakeholders, you care for the community, for the society. And with these three triangles edges, you can build trust. There is a whole set of tools in this book. If you are interested, you can go Unleash the Unapologetic Leader's Guide to Empowering Everyone Around You. Right? It's a beautiful book published early this year. So the prescription firms going forward, borrowing from Berry et al. 2020, is we need to adapt and adapt fast. There is no place for slow movers in the present world, right? And we need to transform, service transformation. Now you think of a time when COVID hit, and I still remember I was in the third week of my teaching this semester, and we had to adapt. Within a week to 10 days time, we moved everything online. That is a classic case of service adaptation. Now here we are talking about adaptation and transformation. Transformation is not like making customers loyal. Transformation is making customers safe. Now, if you go back to the seminal book by Pine and Gilmore, The Experience Economy, in that book, the last value they talk about is the transformative value, right? Now, we don't have time for that, but if anybody is interested about transformative value, then The Experience Economy by Pine and Gilmore is one of that books that will help you to understand service transformation. But as we speak, all of us in the academic world, in practice, we are adapting in our own ways, and we are transforming people's lives in our own ways. By cleaning the surfaces, by providing all sorts of safety measures. When I go to gym, I'm thinking, am I in a gym or am I in a prison? But I'm taking it in a more positive way because it's for my well-being. So adaptation and transformation are the two key strategies going forward for service providers. Now, again, we want to give you our take on this. Now, we propose a 3C framework for service encounters in Service Encounter 3.0. Yeah? Now, what is the 3C framework? The 3C framework is like this. In any service encounter that is happening as we speak, and that is going to happen in the future, in the COVID world, is we want these 3 C's as care, compassion, and conscience. Now, care for whom? Not only for customer. We often talk about customer care. It's not only customer, it's care for our employees. Compassion for whom? Not only for our customers, it's also for employees. It's also for our communities, right? And conscience. What sort of conscience we have as a service provider? This is squarely related to the higher purpose that a business or a service provider should have. And this 3C framework will lead us on the journey towards love. Because love has the power to heal customers, employees, and communities. So what we need is going forward a new metric, a new DV, and possibly love could provide us a new DV, a new metric moving forward. Some of those ideas we are carrying forward from the book called The Firms of Endearment by Raj Sisodia a few years ago. It's one of those books which is an answer to the earlier book by Jim Collins, Good to Great, right? Now, consistent with Fisk et al., 2019 and 2020, the backbone of our 3C framework is treating people, that is customers, employees, and communities with dignity. Because a higher purpose is no purpose without treating people with dignity. If we really want to heal the world, we should incorporate love in the fabric of our service organizations. So what should be the strategy for service providers going forward, right? What should we do, right? Now, we should create a safe environment. Again, I'm borrowing from Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek said that people thrive in an environment which they perceive to be a safe environment. And safety is at stake in the present times. So we want to build a safe environment where people feel loved, people feel embraced, people feel cared for, right? We need a strategy where we can humanize our offering. In services management, we often talk about the core offering of a service provider. Now, what we are saying here, borrowing from an article in Harvard Business Review, that we need to humanize our core offerings. We need to educate about the changes that are happening. And if you look around, every service organization in their capacity are trying to educate the communities about the changes that are happening. We want to assure that everything is not gone. We will survive as a human race. So we want to assure stability. And again, I want to remind businesses and service providers have the capacity to save the human race, revolutionize offerings, and tackle the future. We are tackling the future. Think about the future of academia and how we are adapting, how we are transforming. We are in our own way tackling our own future, right? So what we call this strategy as a HEART strategy, borrowing from Waldron and Weatherby, HEART is the nice acronym for this strategy. How to do this, there is a prescription. We don't have the time to talk about in detail these things. So we are at the cusp of the emergence of a feeling economy, an economy where companies feel for customers. Companies do not exist only to make money, right? So I'm borrowing from Huang et al. 2019 in General Service Research, where they're saying that mechanical intelligence and thinking intelligence, and there is another type of intelligence called feeling intelligence. So what their proposition, and our research is very much aligned towards Huang et al.'s word, is let us give tech, AI, robots, and ML the thinking job, the mechanical, all the hard computing, algorithmic stuff, give it to them, the technology. What we can do as a human race, we have the heart, we feel, right? Who serve customers? People serve customers. It's not the companies. So humans will take care of the heart element, the feeling element, the empathy part of it. Robots are still 3 to 4 decades behind from having a feeling component. They can have everything if my information is right, okay? So what we are saying is that we need a future, no matter whether we have COVID or any other virus. What we want is service providers should work with tech and touch if they want to heal the world. Namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjit, Dr. Sanjit, for your nice talk. Right, really enlightening and really setting the tone for our conference. Now we have few questions from our participants. I'll pose that one by one to you. The first question is, could you explain the role of AIDA model in service encounter?
AIDA, are you talking about the IDA model of advertising, communication?
Yeah, that is.
I think I would try to divert the question towards a marketing 101 or an advertising 101 textbook. They will do a better job of answering that IDA. But IDA is primarily linked to the linear customer decision making, awareness, interest, desire, and action. So any service encounter happens in 3 stages, right? Pre, post, and there is a service encounter. So there is a 3-stage service encounter. And if you want to map IDA, you need to go back to the consumer decision making where we are talking about different set like awareness set, consideration set, choice set, and others, right? So this is primarily these 4 stages can be mapped to the 3 stages of service encounter. That is pre, the real moment of truth, and the post, right? So possibly that could be a quick answer to that IDA model. But it's a very old model. It doesn't work. If my information is right, IDA has given way to other more nuanced models in advertising and communication. For example, hierarchy of effects model.
Okay, so another question, these are questions from the participants. One question is, what are the key parameters of service encounter? So,
now, what does parameter mean? I don't know what the participant has in mind about parameters. Now, service encounters are primarily dependent on one crucial parameter, and that is interaction. Now, this interaction could be interaction between the customer and the company, customer and the employee, customer and the technology, customer and the say the company, right? So all of these interactions. So the one key parameter of any service encounter is the interaction and the human element.
okay, so yeah, and how can, I think we have discussed this, how can AI and machine learning automate service marketing?
It's happening, right? See, I'm not a designer of AI. I always say I'm a user of technology. Now, AI and ML and robots, it is happening. Now, as we speak, it is happening. For example, like say, what would be the best way to give you an example of an auto? Say, for example, if you walk into Amazon Go, Amazon Go is a classic example of a smart service. So you don't scan your product, you just walk into the store. Whatever products you choose is automatically scanned in your app, and you walk out of the store and the payment goes automatically. And that's what we capture in our research, which we call a seamless customer experience or frictionless customer experience. So you don't have to do anything. You walk into a store, you grab the items you want, and you just walk out. What is happening in the background is your bank account is linked to your retailer's account, is linked to the RFID tags or whatever scanning tags or barcodes on the products. So everything is taken care of by the automated technologies. You are not doing anything rather than walking in and walking out of the store. That is one example. There are n number of examples. Automated cars is a classic example of such technology, right? Where machine learning, deep learning, and AI all come together to drive your car, and you sitting and working.
So another question came that, sir, in this current environment, can we say that rather than a physical touch as being a service provider, the companies have to focus on emotional touch? And even if we develop technology to a great level, will it be able to provide an emotional touch?
Yeah, and this is a great question, and this is directly related to the idea of love and the idea of human plus technology. You know, as we said, and you might have noticed that we are still 3 to 4 decades away from a humanoid having a human heart, right? Where he will feel. So you have all sorts of technologies which can do facial recognition, eyeball tracking, and everything they can do, they can respond to. Sophia is a classic example of a robot which can interact with you in real time, right? But one thing that is missing, and this is what I captured in the last slide here, if I can just pull that slide here. So this is where we say that we will give the thinking and the automation part to the technology, and we will take care of the feeling part, the emotional part of it. We still need people, and this is the emphasis of my talk. We still need people. We still need the soft element and the emotional part. And who can deliver that emotion? People, human, right? So we still need that. I don't know what is going to happen if I'm alive after 30 years. I would like to see how a humanoid with a human heart works.
Right. So another question that's, sir, what is that question one? Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you for your insightful session. A question: will Industry 4.0 redefine service? What's your thoughts, sir?
It will not. It has. I would say Industry 4.0 has redefined services, right? IoT. Now, I will try to take you or direct you to some of the work that we have done in 2017. We had a paper in Journal of Marketing Management where we say that how is Internet of Things going to change value creation or value co-creation. Recently, we did a paper in Technology Forecasting and Societal Change. There's a journal where we are trying to look at customer experience through the lens of Industry 4.0. So Industry 4.0 is actually transforming as we speak today, right? Now think of a pizza order. Now there was a time when you order a pizza on a phone and the pizza comes say half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour later. Now today, when you order the pizza, you can actually in real time track whether it is cooking, when the cooking is finished, when the pizza has actually gotten into the delivery man's bag, where is the delivery man, everything you can track through that app, right? If this is not the transformation that Industry 4.0 has brought, then what is the transformation? Where personification is happening, right? The service has been personalized as a result of the influx of technology. But we need to keep in mind this paradox, that personalization and privacy paradox, right? So to gain that level of personification, what are we giving up? And are we ready to give up? We never think that way. We just get the benefits of it and then blame Facebook and LinkedIn and other social media platforms that you are taking all my data. See, I'm not an advocate of Facebook, but the first responsibility, and I was reading a paper where someone was saying that everybody's talking about corporate social responsibility. Nobody talks about customers' responsibility or customers' social responsibility. What is customers' responsibility about his or her own well-being, right? So yes, personification is happening. Services are transforming for better, and we can do even more better if we have some checks and balances and regulations and so on and so forth, right?
Okay. So maybe one last question. It is, how can service providers create love and healing in the current environment where any form in interaction is becoming increasingly impossible?
Yeah. Now that's a great question. When you don't have a human touch, how do you create that love, that feeling of love? And if you go back to that beautiful slide that we borrowed from the Harvard Business Review, and if you look at this, humanize your offerings, right? Now, how do you humanize your offering, your core product? For example, you're selling a pizza. Now, how can you humanize a pizza? How can you humanize a product? For example, 2 days ago, I was browsing. I needed a gunmetal watch. See, I'm a watch lover, okay? So the other day I was ordering a gunmetal watch and my budget was very less. I don't want to spend too much. At the same time, I want a gunmetal watch. So I found. Finally, I got a good deal. I got the watch. The watch came. For the last 2 days, I had no idea where my watch is. So I wrote an email to the company from where I bought the watch, from their online store. And within half an hour or 45 minutes, I got a response. Thanks for your query and all. Your watch is being delivered tomorrow morning. So as I said, before this keynote, I got the watch. But in that email, they had a nice, beautiful communication. We hope that you enjoy your watch. They are not saying you like your watch. They are carefully choosing the word. We hope that you enjoy your new watch. We would love to hear from you. Right? Now, this is merely a communication between the service provider and the customer. So the watch is a watch, right? Nothing else. But how am I humanizing the watch? I'm humanizing the watch by communication, by interaction. So I can use technology to humanize this. I can use communication. I can use anything. So we need to humanize the offerings And these are small nudges. So if you read that book called The Nudge, you don't have to do massive things to make a big impact. You can do small things to make a big impact. That's the idea of the book, The Nudge. So I would highly recommend you read that book called The Nudge, right? So that small thing, we hope that you will enjoy the watch. Was the nudge for me, okay? We would love to hear from you. Second nudge for me. Am I happy? Yes, I am very happy with the watch.
Okay. So yeah, so with this, so more or less we come to the end of your wonderful session, Dr. Sanjit. It's really an insightful and scholarly talk. Wholehearted thanks from MDI Murshidabad and team ICBIT for sparing some of your valuable time for us and give a very good insight to post-COVID service encounters, right? Impact of COVID-19. So thank you. And really it is wonderful. And also you talked about your this mentor, Dr. A.K. Rao. I had good fortune of attending some of his sessions as well. So unfortunately passed away this January. So thank you for being with us and sparing more than 1 hour of your valuable time on a Friday morning. Okay, so thanks.
Thank you,
And
Dr.
now we'll
Sanjit.
move to the.
Thanks a lot, Souvik, for having me. And I wish you all the best for the rest of the conference. And I
Yes.
look forward to interacting with you in the future. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
All take care.
Yeah. So I hope that our relationship will continue. Yes. Okay. So thanks.
One of the participants asked this question: what is the parameter of an interaction? Relationship is the second parameter of a service encounter.
Yes. So in a small span of time, you have become a very good dear friend, and yes, and a well-wisher of MDI Murshidabad. We really appreciate all your effort to enlighten our participants.
It's
Thanks
a cultural
lot.
community. I belong to Bengal.
Yes. So once you visit India, we hope to have you in our campus, maybe in the near future, not a distant future, in the near future, hopefully.
Yeah, I'd love to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Bye. Bye. Over to Dr. Vikramjit Pal now for introduction of our second keynote speaker. Over to Dr. Vikramjit Pal.
Thank you, Dr. Souvik. Our today's second keynote speaker is Dr. Sivakumar Udgata. Let me introduce Dr. Sivakumar Udgata. Dr. Sivakumar Udgata is a professor in the School of Computer and Information Sciences, University of Hyderabad, the Institute of Eminence. He served Center of Modeling, Simulation and Design as a director from 2012 to 2016. He was a United Nations Fellow and worked as the United Nations University International Institute for Software Technology, Macau, as Research Fellow in 2001. His research focus is on intelligent algorithms for wireless communication, mobile computing, sensor network, and applications. He has worked as principal investigator in many funded research projects in collaboration with Stanford University, University of California, IIT Delhi, and few others. He has published research papers extensively in many peer-reviewed international journals and conferences. Today, he will deliver a keynote on business intelligence, artificial intelligence empowered business functions. Over to you, Udgata sir.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you. Thanks. Good to see you and good to see others also. Respected Professor Dr. Atmanand, the Director of MDI, Dr. Souvik, Dr. Vikram, Ms. Nupur Singh, and the other panelists who are there in the panel. And it's an honor and a privilege, and I'm happy to be here. And as Dr. Vikram said, that I work for. I basically teach and do a bit of research in computer science, and I work for School of Computer and Information Sciences at University of Hyderabad, which is very recently conferred with the Institute of Eminence status by Government of India. It comes with a lot of challenges, and we are probably prepared for that also. Now, coming to the talk, I think well, the previous speaker spoke at length and spoke beautifully, and it's very difficult to succeed him actually. I mean, but nevertheless, he spoke more on generalities. And as I told you, I belong to School of Computer Science, and so my talk will be slightly technical. But I know I'm aware that I'm talking into a management conference, so I'll try to avoid technicalities as much as possible, and I will talk more about examples and all that. So let me share my slides. I think I have the permission to share the slides, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah. Are the slides visible, Dr. Vikram?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good, very good. So the title of the talk is Business Intelligence, that's popularly known as BI. It's basically an artificial intelligence empowered business functions. So in the talk, I will talk about, I mean, people know many things, but still I'll formally put them together. I'll talk about what is artificial intelligence, how artificial intelligence converted slowly towards business intelligence, what are the different examples of business intelligence and how businesses have leveraged on this artificial intelligence technology. What are the challenges for adapting business intelligence into a business process? And then finally, I will also have a couple of slides on how business intelligence is more relevant, more important in a post-COVID-19 era. So let me go quickly. The times we are living in a very exciting times. Actually, it's good, it's bad as well. So we are living in a time where the technology is taking a leap forward, and we know how technology is moving in a fast extent. If you look at this technology movement, right? Can you imagine that 20 years back, somebody sitting in a plane or somebody sitting in a ship or somebody sitting in a seashore will be talking to his loved ones? Now, this challenge, the technology, the communication technology, the sensor technology, the algorithmic technology, the process technology, everything has changed quite a bit actually. In the last couple of years, we are seeing the change, and the changes will be visible in coming years also. The situation is very tough. I don't need to remind you that we are living in a very tough situation, but that gives us a challenge for innovation and thinking. And there is an ecosystem. Now, I think 10 years back, if somebody wants to start a business, there was a lot of challenges, like marketing was a challenge, payment was a challenge, bookkeeping is a challenge, everything is a challenge. Now in a startup ecosystem, you think of a business in your idea, in your domain, in your expertise, and the rest of the things are there already in place. The payment system is there in place. You can tie up with Paytm, you can tie up with Google Pay, you can, the marketing things are there in place, the advertisement things are in place. So everything is at place. Everybody knows what to do. So there is an ecosystem that is given to us. So we are basically in the next wave of technological change, and the change is not linear. That's very important. So we are going for a wave of technological change, and we have been experiencing it, and we will experience it. And the change is actually not linear. It's a non-linear change. It's growing exponentially, and we need to prepare ourselves to cope up with that change. Now, I did a Google search actually. Well, when AI started, when artificial intelligence started, so AI in 1950, I just typed it in the Google search bar, and you see what it says. It says that in 1950, English mathematician Alan Turing published a paper entitled Computing, Machinery, and Intelligence, which opened the doors to the field that would be called as AI. But AI was not coined, or AI term was not coined way back in 1950. So Alan Turing coined this term, computing machinery and intelligence, and later John McCarthy kind of coined this term as artificial intelligence. So there is an experiment called Turing experiment in intelligence. How do you know a machine is intelligent? So there is an experiment that the Turing machine, the guy who started this concept, what is this Turing machine does actually, or a Turing experiment does actually? Let's say there is another person sitting in another room, which you are not able to see, and I sit in another room. Let's say there are two rooms, room A and room B. In room A, the user or a human being is sitting. In room B, there is another person is sitting. Now you are communicating between these two rooms, room A and room B. You type a question, the room B person will reply, that goes on. Now, suppose at some point of time, you replace that human being and let a robot or a machine or a chatbot replaces that. You keep questioning, and the question and the discussion goes on, and the human being sitting at room A or in room A will not be able to differentiate between the person sitting in room B, or replaced by a robot or a automatic system there. That is intelligence, and that is what we are looking forward to. So Turing described this experiment. So this we call the Turing experiment. And Turing described this experiment as the ultimate intelligence model. If I go so that's how it started, right? In 1950, Alan Turing started Can Machine Think? In Dartmouth College, John McCarthy, he in 1956 he coined this term called artificial intelligence. And by 1985, in fact, that's the story goes in 1985, business people started adopting it. Now, I'm not saying about business people have started around 1985 is almost 35 years back, but people thought about adopting this technology in business environment way back in 1985. It's a different thing. It didn't take off that well, and it took off only very recently. But people have thought about it way back in 1985 itself. Why AI and why now? These are the two things actually. Why now? Look at this CMGI kind of this. So there is a mass adoption, that is the mass people are started looking at it. So in 2018, people look at this CMGI structure, the rectangle here. The image is a mass adaptation. Now people are looking at AI everywhere, almost everywhere, and people have started adapting to it, accepting it. There is a conversational commerce is there, that is C. Huge investments are coming into this business, this model, and there are governance, there are regulations in place now. Earlier it was nothing like that actually. So now the regulations and the governance at place now. So this CMGI development model is actually pushing us to adopt this AI technology and all that. Many applications are there, and I'll talk about this actually. We have chatbots. I think I gave just an example that how a chatbot can be more intelligent, can replace a routine mundane task about a customer care service executive, but not. Natural language processing, your reviews, your feedbacks, and all this language what you are typing, people try to look at your emotion, and people try to judge your emotion. People try to find out your mood from your the way you write, the way you talk. There are machine learning. So there is a basically a brain kind of a structure, the third figure. So there is a machine learning here, and of course there are image processing, vision processing, and all these things are there. So these are various applications that AI is going through and penetrating into, which gives us a more scope and opportunity to take this forward. Some of these slides, some of these pictures, etc., and some of the statistics I picked up from different sources, wherever possible, I have also referred them. 38% of the companies already use AI in some capacity or other. 38%. You talk about JP Morgan Chase, you talk about Deloitte, you talk about Bank of America, you talk about Deutsche Bank, you talk about Credit Suisse, you talk about many things. So almost 38 companies, listed companies, are using AI in some capacity or other. The current impact, if you look at this, there is an industry change. Leading financial institutions hiring chief AI officer. I think in the inaugural session, one speaker was speaking about how new jobs are getting created, how you have never thought of a job name, a job role, a job profile, but that job is getting created. I think Professor Agrawal was talking about that. Now, the whole idea is that chief AI officer, I mean, we never heard of this kind of a designation, but the companies are now hiring chief AI officer. Earlier, they were talking about chief technological officer. Now, there is an equivalent grade called chief AI officer. AI stands for artificial intelligence. Investing in AI labs and incubators, companies are doing it. AI-powered banking bots are commonplace now. What is a banking bot? You try to log into a banking, a chat bot comes up and it tries to interact with you, tries to find out what kind of help you need, and they design a banking scheme for you. They design a banking loan scheme for you, or they design an insurance scheme for you. So these are at commonplace now. Intelligent personal investment products are available at scale actually. Starting in 2019, the CFA exam will have an AI section. I mean, they have an AI component, AI syllabus, and that examination will have an AI component now. So there are a lot of things that are happening actually. So many companies are building custom in-house solutions. So that means targeted at customers, individual customers. There are many success stories. If you look at the right side, the JP Morgan Chase has deployed AI for document processing. 300,000 hours have reduced to seconds actually. So people are talking about 3,300 hours of job now has been reduced to few seconds using the AI bot and all that. The hedge fund is visiting are using AI to detect acquisition from. I mean, there are so many success stories actually, and I don't have to talk about that actually. Now, what is this business intelligence? The business, if you look at this pyramid, lots and lots of data are there at the bottom. So we are we are swimming in a sea of data. So that's the sea. We are swimming in a sea of data, and we see only the surface of the sea, and there are a lot of things are there beneath the sea. So we are swimming in a sea of data. That data need to be processed, need to be aggregated, need to be congregated, and then you find out the information from that. You try to visualize the effect of data and other things. So the pyramid is that you have lots of data. That data will be processed, aggregated, and information will be extracted, and then the data visualization, data presentation, decision making, etc. take place. So business intelligence is a set of theories, methodologies, architecture, and technologies that transform raw data into meaningful and useful information for business purposes. I'll talk about it in coming slides. The whole idea is that we can have a lot of data, but what do you do with that data? Do you have a means or a model to churn out that data and bring out a basic meaningful information which will help you in business decision making process? So again, I go by some of these things actually from 2013, 14, 15 kind of a thing. The top 10 CIO technologies priorities. Look at this actually. Look at this here. Look at this. This is my analytics and business intelligence. That's the second. After mobile technologies, analysis and analytics and business intelligence is the next top 10 in the year 2010 to 2015. In 2017, the Gartner, I mean, you guys must be knowing much better than me. The Gartner predicts, look at this. Gartner predicts business intelligence and analytics will remain top focus of the CIOs throughout 2017 or 2017 onwards kind of a thing. If you look at top 10 strategy technology trends for 2019, it says you look at this AI-driven development. Augmented analysis and AI-driven environment will be the top 10 strategic technology that is coming up beyond and in the year 2019 and onwards. So there are a lot of things that are happening actually. If you look at a newspaper article that says augmented analytics as part of analytics and business intelligence, look at that red line, which enables business users and citizen data scientists to automatically find, visualize, and narrate relevant findings without building models and writing algorithms. And I'll talk about that actually. You don't have to write algorithms. You don't have to write programs for that. So that is very important. Why now? Because that's what I started. Why? What is AI? What is BI? And why we talk about now? Well, it was there since 1950. People talk about now because the enabling technologies to implement AI services or AI-enabled programs were not there or not around. For example, cloud computing was not there. Now you cannot think of a business model, I mean, a right kind of a business model without a cloud service, be it storage cloud, be it software cloud, be it infrastructure cloud, whatever it is. Now, what is a cloud? I think many of you might be using Google Photo is a cloud service. Google Drive is a cloud service. So everything, storage cloud, platform cloud, everything is a cloud service. Now you have some data, you push that data to the cloud. There are technologies, there are models, there are softwares available to do your analytics in the cloud, and then you get your meaningful information from there. But this cloud computing was not there 10 years before. So because cloud computing has evolved, now people thought of putting AI analytics into the cloud. Data analytics has emerged over a period of time. Artificial intelligence was there, but now it has become more kind of a tool. TensorFlow has come. There are so many tools have come which helps you. Python, PyTorch has come. So there are so many tools that have come which has embedded artificial intelligence software already in it, and people in business decision making process just started using that. Machine learning was there, but those tools were not there. The enabling applications were not there. So now the time has come that the enabling technologies has emerged, which helps us to create a ecosystem so that the AI can be taken to an individual business level functionalities. Okay. Now, you know what is machine learning? I think I took that name, just a Wikipedia definition. Machine learning, which is a branch of artificial intelligence, but now it has grown itself so that it can itself be considered as a subject by itself. It concerns the construction and study of system that can learn from data. That's very important. So which can learn from data. We have a huge amount of data. Who doesn't give us data? Credit card companies give us data. What do you call, the surveillance cameras, CCTVs give us data. When you call somebody, that gives you data everywhere. I mean, you are a data producer actually. Any individual is a data producer. Any company is a data producer. Huge amount of data that is being petabytes of data, gigabytes of data are being collected every day. Now that data, now there is a tool called machine learning, or a method called machine learning, by which the machine can learn from the data that is available. Now, unless you do that, what do you do with the data? That's very important. So machine learning has emerged as a tool to learn from the data, and hello? Okay. Now, what is I mean, it's a very simple diagram which says that the people who are using traditional software technology, right, traditional programming, we give a data, we give a program, and the computer will process the data using that program, and the output will be generated. Now, what happens in a machine learning? I go back here. The machine learning will try to learn from the data. What happens in a machine learning? Look at the bottom part of it. The machine learning part of it, or the machine learning model, if you have a model there, what it does, you give the data and you give the output. For example, I give the data that a person comes, let's say Mr. X comes to the store with so much of money and purchase these items. So he comes with this much of money and purchase these items. So output are those items, and data is he comes with this much of money, what is his age, what is his profile, how much salary he does. So these are the data. So input data is there, output purchase basket is there. Now, if these two are given and for so many people and so many customers, then the computer will develop a program to find out what it has learned. So look at this actually. In a traditional program, output is on this side, but in a machine learning program, output is also considered as an input. So, and the system start learning. That's the beauty of machine learning there. So what is learning? I mean, I think I should skip this slide. Now, what is data mining? I mean, that's very important. And so in case, because I'm talking about data, I think a couple of more slides, we talk about technology, then we slowly move towards the business functionalities, and then try to conclude the way we do. So the data mining is a technology of AI, and data mining is the process of extracting hidden patterns from data. As more data is gathered, data mining is becoming an increasingly important tool to transform this data into information. Now, let me tell you, mine. What is mining actually? You go and pick up some precious metals, precious stones from within the Mother Earth. Now, what is data mining? You have lots of data. Let's say put it inside in the system, and you have to mine the data such that some meaningful hidden patterns will be evolved. Now, what is a hidden pattern? Hidden pattern means there is a pattern there in the data, but it's not visible through the naked eye. It is not known to us. It can only be known when you see it for many times and all that. So that hidden pattern will be extracted. I think I have a favorite example actually. I will go back to that example. I belong to state of Orissa. So when we applied this data mining technique, and state of Orissa is a neighboring state of Andhra Pradesh, where University of Hyderabad is located. Now what happens is that many girls from state of Orissa come and study at this university, and it's a premier university. We did some data mining technology. We took some 10 years of data, 10 years back, some 10 years of data, who are the students writing the exam and who are coming from which state, etc. So we took that all data and did a data mining technique. Now we found out a hidden pattern. What was that hidden pattern? If a girl, I repeat, if a girl or a woman student has come from state of Orissa and joined in computer science department, that girl is supposed to be married. I mean, there is no such rule. There is no such thing that the girl has to be married to take an exam, to study here. But we found that any girl that is coming from Orissa and doing computer science course here in the last 5 years, that pattern was kind of discovered. Now, and because of that pattern, we created a hostel here for, married, ladies hostel was, anyway, ladies hostels were there, but we created a married ladies hostel. Because we found that there are a lot of students coming, and particularly there are a lot of students that are coming and they are married. So we constructed a married student hostel. So that decision making was possible because of the hidden pattern that we extracted from the data mining technology. What normally data mining does, it classifies. It arranges the data into predefined group. It classifies them. Whenever you get a data, you know that to which class it belongs to, whether it belongs to business class, whether it belongs to economic class, whether it belongs to, so whatever different classes we do. There is a clustering. Now, what is the difference between classification and clustering? In classification, we tell the data that you have to classify among one of these classes. In clustering, we don't tell them. We say that, look, you are 100 people, group yourself. So that there is a technique in data mining which will try to, you give them some 100,000, 100,000 data, it will try to group it depending on its characteristics. It will try to group it, and that group is known as a cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, etc. Regression is normally used to model the data. If there is some error in the data, etc., it will try to smoothen it out. And regression is also used for prediction, future prediction. And the fourth one is very interesting. This fourth one is actually called association rule learning. Association rule learning in the sense that it will mine the data, it will look into data and find out the relationship between the variables. What is the relationship between this and that? What is the relationship between that and this? So this relationship identification and the relationship, I repeat and I tell you, they are not available. They are not known. They were not written. But the machine learning algorithm or the data mining technique will try to explore, discover the relationship between the variables, and those relationships are important for us. We'll see some of the examples actually. What is an expert system? I think I don't want to spend time on that, but an expert system is that it's a system enabled with AI to act as an expert consultant to the end user. So that's very important actually. It's a very complex application, but it will act as an expert consultant to the end user. So that's an expert system. So the expert system requires two things. One called knowledge base, that means the knowledge that has been gained, and that knowledge base is nothing about the data, and the software resources, nothing but the machine learning. Neural network, you might have heard about it because it's not complete. No talk is complete about AI and BI without talking about neural network. Neural network is a model by which the brain functions, or the mimicry of the brain. I don't want to talk much about it, but we will be using neural network in the business applications, etc. So computing system modeled after the brain's mesh-like network of interconnected processing elements called as a neuron. So what is a neural network? There are thousands, why thousand? There are hundreds of thousands of small processing elements, and they are connected to each other. And by that, we try to learn. So how the brain learns, that is mimicked in the neural network. And neural network can be programmed. Tools are available, so people do that. Now, this is also an important. Why do we talk about fuzzy logic? Because human decision-making process, I think the previous speakers spoke about human touch, human decision-making process, etc. Now, fuzzy and the data, there are two different things actually. For example, if you say 30 degrees centigrade, now a 30 degrees centigrade, whether it is a hot climate or cold climate, it doesn't make any sense. In a mid-summer, mid-May, it's cold actually. 30 degrees centigrade is nothing. But in the midwinter, if 30 degrees centigrade in the night, it's too much actually. So the whole idea is that we see that what is a fuzzy? Now the uncertainty associated with the input is a fuzzy. The uncertainty associated with the output is probability. Now, if you say that in a room, let's say 100 people are sitting, and you say whether you are feeling cold. Now, let's say 70% people say you are feeling cold, but 30% people say it's okay. If they are from European countries or something, they will say it's okay, fine. Now, that means there are 70% people, or the 0.7 fuzzy membership is for the hot, cool, comfortable, but very cold, feeling very cold. But other 30% are not feeling very cold. So now the expert system, the AI system is using fuzzy logic because you have to cater to the people, and people are not of the same type of people actually. I may feel good, somebody may feel very good, somebody may feel average, somebody may feel still bad. So that kind of logic is being introduced to make decision-making process. So this is also important. So I think if you look at AI is basically software plus data. What is IT? Because that's where people say AIT is also an IT system. No, IT is basically software technology. How you implement software and etc. to take your to do your day-to-day task. But AI, so software technology, when you are designing IT system, you are not focusing on the data. But when you design an AI-based system, you have to focus on data, of course, intelligence, and then comes software. But in an IT system, software is the priority. How many softwares you have, whether you have license or not, what this software can do. So our focus is on that. But when you decide or think about an AI system, we think about the data, we think about the intelligence, and then we think about the software, what software we should buy, what software we should develop, etc. Now, in fact, what happens, why you talk about AI in the business system or intelligence system? Any software, if you look at a software, normal program, C program, Java program, database program, etc., you give a problem. Look at the first part. You give a problem, and you design the method. There is a straightforward. There is a solution. There is no hanky-panky there. But in reality, it's not same. You have a problem. The solution is visible, but the environment changes over a period of time. Your decision making. You suppose you are doing marketing. Like marketing is not. You cannot foresee that if I do today marketing strategy this, 1 year down the line, this is the solution. No, it keeps on changing. The environment keeps on changing, and this is the path. So even if you have a solution, this is the path it takes. Now, this path planning means diverting the path, again coming back to the right path, taking on the spot, on the time, just in time decisions, etc., is the intelligent problem. A human being sitting at the helm of affairs, at the top of the business process, takes decisions every day. So the system, if you are looking at an AI system, the system also should be able to take decisions and change the decisions whenever it is required. So the path has to be changed. And the solution actually is a very cumbersome process. That cumbersome process can only be held or can only be dealt with some kind of an intelligence, which normally the human being possesses. But your reality softwares, normal softwares will not be able to do that. So we require an AI-based software which takes decisions, changes its decisions, and adapts its decision to the changing environment. So that's the idea. Now, the whole important thing is that as a business or a marketing person or a business decision-making person, the talk is about, I think what you should know is that what AI can do for you. What are the capabilities of AI? What are the limitations of AI? So if I can know what AI can do for me, it is optional. I repeat, it is because the computer science guys, the electronic guys, the instrumentation guys will take care of that. So it is optional for the business manager to know how it does or what is the technology behind it. So you may not, I'm addressing the business managers. You may not be knowing much about the technology there. That means how a person sits and writes the code, etc. Well, that's required, but it's not mandatory. So it is optional to know how it does and what the technology is behind it. But it is important for any business decision maker that to know what AI can do for you. So basically the talk, or there are many books, business intelligence, etc., which doesn't talk about much about the technology part, but focuses more on what are the functionalities that AI can do. So that gives us a choice to the business manager to ask its technical team to do what and expect what. Okay. Now this is basically when you go for a business intelligence strategy. So how to develop an AI strategy for a business actually. So there are some 5-6 points, and we'll talk about that. Now, AI strategy in a business, when you try to make up a strategy there and you want to do a transition from normal business to business intelligence business. So artificial intelligence has the potential to transform every business, believe me, every business. In the same way as the internet has utterly transferred the way we do our business. Now, can you think of a business now, any business, for example, even I'm talking about a conference, you talk about online, you talk about education, you talk about marketing, you talk about sales, you talk about anything. Internet has become almost an integral part of any process. Now, probably 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, the way internet has penetrated into the business, the same way artificial intelligence will also penetrate into the business, and probably it says possibly more here. Now, from smarter products, services to better business decisions and optimized business decisions, AI has the power to change almost everything. And you should, that's what I go back to the previous slide. It says that you must know as a business manager what AI can do. And if you know that, you know the power of AI, you can implement that in your business. So the decision maker must know what are the capabilities of AI, what are the limitations of AI, and then you can think of a strategy there. So those businesses that do not capitalize on the transformative power of AI are at the risk of being left behind. Either they will perish actually. So unless you do, and there are many case studies, I don't want to tell, whenever a technology comes, if the business doesn't adapt to that, probably it will perish. And the best example, best case studies are Kodak, Kodak, film rolls, etc. That company perished because because they didn't adapt to the digital camera and all these things. Nokia was a phone company. Because they didn't adapt to the Android technology at the beginning, they just went out of the market. So there are many things where if the decision makers cannot see what is written on the wall, then they perish actually. So what are the steps to adapt AI in a business, and if you're doing a business kind of thing? First, you know what is artificial intelligence. If you don't know that, what it can do, what it cannot do, what is it, I must know it before I put it in my business actually, because otherwise I'm running to a risk. Identify the problem you want to solve using AI. That's the second step. So identify your pain points, where you are actually struggling. Are you struggling to satisfy your customers? Are you struggling to manage your inventory? Are you struggling to market your product? Are you struggling to keep a track on what your employees are doing, employee surveillance, etc.? So what is your pain point? If you look at that pain point, then only you be realistic and explore the option for business processes. So this follows the first point. You know what is AI, what it can do, what it cannot do. Then identify what are your pain points and try to match that. Okay, there is a technology there. If I can use that technology in this pain point, probably I will be able to solve it. Then you might find that there are 10 such points, pain points. Prioritize your applications, because that's very important actually. You should not be running, I mean, I'm not an expert in that, but still I have read quite a lot. They say that you should not be doing all applications AI based right from the word go. So you do prioritize your applications and identify what is your main pain point, and what is the financial value that is involved there. Recognize the internal capability gap. That's very important, because in any business house they say that okay, we'll hire a company who will do our AI services, etc. No. First, you have to find out that whether there is an internal capability gap or not. If there is no gap, please go in-house. So fully explore the internal capabilities first. Now, the fifth point, bring in experts and set up a pilot project. Then you can, once you identify your internal capability, then you can hire a consultant or an expert to set up one pilot project. That's very important. So it should be small. It should be fast, because you should not set up a pilot project. It will take 2 years to run. 2 years is a big time in business. So you want to first see how your business is adapted to the AI technology. So you'll pick up a small application, do it fast, and most importantly, involve the internal people and resources. If you don't do that, I mean, I will also talk about the change management. If you don't do that, probably it is not going to be successful. So people should own this service. People should own this technology. Otherwise, this is not going to be services. The next 5 points, integration of data. That is very important, because as I started saying, AI, machine learning, these data mining, etc., they all build on data. The bottom of the pyramid is the data. So what people do, let's say I go for an IT adaptation in my company. IT adaptation in the company, first I will buy my desktops, then I buy some software, then I hire some programmers, and that's it. But here in AI case, first I have to look at what data I have. Now the data is the new coin. I think Mukesh Ambani tells data is the new oil, but I say data is the new coin. Data is the new form of currency. So data is the new currency. So as we evolve, data cleaning, data standardization becomes important. Now I give you a small example of data cleaning. There are a lot of data that come actually, but unless you clean it, unless you organize it properly, it is of no issue. Standardization of data is important, because we are not local. We are not confined to a local business. We are in a global business. Now you can say, what is standardization? I just give you a small example. There are many such examples. One example is that, let's say temperature, right? Now in temperature, the American people record the temperature in degree centigrade. We record the temperature in degree Fahrenheit. Now if there is a data which is there, temperature as a column, and the data is there, what do you mean out of it? Whether it is centigrade, whether it is Fahrenheit, whether it is room Helmholtz. Now that means that the data is not standardized. So you have to find out a common standard for the data. We call them as a data standardization, data ontology. There are so many people working on this actually. Small and simple start. That's very important actually. You start with a small application and start with a simple start data before exploding actually. You don't explode too much. We normally don't talk about, I think many of my colleagues will agree with me, whenever you talk about in IT enabled business, etc., we don't talk about storage. We say whatever storage you get, etc. But you cannot imagine, the moment you implement AI and ML solutions, your data will try to explode actually. So in your initial stage itself, you should plan for what is the storage you want, how much storage you want, and and you believe me that the storage will keep on growing. So you should have a plan to create a lot of data. So plan should be afoot for enhancing the storage capacity. I'm sorry, S is missing here. Storage capability. Now, incorporate AI into daily activities to ease the employee's job. That's very, very important, because I don't know if somebody is listening to this, some business managers are listening to this, they go back and try to implement AI there. But imagine that key, unless it helps your existing employees, makes their life little easier, they will not accept it. So acceptability be the key. So how do you do it? Now, incorporate AI into the daily activities to ease the employee's job. Now, suppose the employee comes and you go to one employee, let's say your secretary. Now, the secretary says your secretary is kind of spending 5 hours only on handling your appointments and all that. Now, you say that, look, lady, you can implement a new tool, AI tool has come, let us implement that. And that 5-hour job will be reduced to 1 hour, but it will keep track of the appointments, etc. It will keep reminding you so that you remind me, etc. Now, that will ease the employee's job actually. So then he or she will accept it, and that acceptability will be the key. Now, that's what I'm saying. The final thing is that you build with a balance. So they call it B square, build with a balance. The hardware software availability, whether you have it or you have to buy it. The human resources availability, whether you have to have it, or you hire it. And then you're ready to roll. Actually, you go ahead with that. So there are 10 steps to adapt any artificial or to convert your business into a business intelligence model or BI based business. You need to follow these 5 things, or sorry, 10 things, 5 plus 5, 10 things, and in your own domain actually. Now let me go to the other part of the AI. We call it as a business functions and AI. And all what are the business functions: the marketing, the financial application, the supply chain management, the human resource management, the customer relationship management, change management. These are the basic business functions, and we'll just quickly see how things are happening. Now look at personalized marketing. Now this is basically a kind of a recommendation system. Now what is personalized marketing? Suppose I am Netflix is using that. What Netflix is using, it looks at users. Let's say is starting web series, that series recommending me that you watch this series, etc. How do you do it? They look at my profile, and they look at the profile of thousands of customers, and they group those customers into separate groups. So this is a one group of customers. These are the data points, and this is one group of customer. This is another group of customer. Then what he finds that there are so many people in this group is now trying to buy this, or is now trying to watch this, or now trying to go for this. Then based on that, it recommend the other people who are left inside this group that you also do this, because your friends have already done that. It will not tell you that your friends have done that or people like you have done that. For example, let's say a book has come in computer science, and many professors in the computer science download that book from the Amazon or buy that book from the Amazon. Now Amazon knows that I'm also a professor, and I belong to, and these are my friends in Facebook, these are my friends in LinkedIn. Taking all this clustering information, Amazon suggests me that you also download this book or you also buy this book. That's it. And so this is a simple machine learning based approach for grouping customers, and then based on the group behavior, you suggest this. Once you know that this person, so you can design personalized advertisement, you can design personalized websites, you can design personalized user experience, you can design personal offers, and you can design personal upscale, personal communication. So it's like your entire system becomes a tailor-made. Look at the picture here. There is a tailor here which measures the, so you are just trying to fit the way I would like to wear it actually. You're not giving me anything. So personalized marketing using machine learning is the doctor. Now look at this figure actually. This I downloaded from Gartner and all that side. So, but this first you manage your data. So you have lots of customer data. You have data about every customer you almost have. Now, once you have managed your customer data, so there are BigQuery, there are Snowflakes, there are Tableau. Tableau is a software which organizes your data. Look at Data Studio. So many softwares are there for data warehouse. So the data warehouse is basically trying to manage your customer data. Once you build your customer data, then the second part is that you build your audience. I have, let's say in my company or in Walmart or in Facebook or let's say in Amazon, millions of customers are there, billions of customers are there. Now you are launching a new product. So if you are launching a new product or a new service, you build an audience for that. How do you build the audience? Take the database, look at the data warehouse. From the data warehouse, you have to pick up a subset of the audience, subset of the customers. Those are the audience for this particular marketing. How do I do that? There are a lot of tools, machine learning models are available. For example, Google TensorFlow is there, R is there, Python, PyTorch module is there, AutoML is there. So these tools, these AI tools will help me to pick up the audience, to pick up a subset from the large set of the customer data. Once you pick up the audience, then for each audience, you can you personalize each audience and you try to do that. So connect with the audience using the 3P. I think 3P, the product, people, and process, right? So which product for which people and in which process the marketing should be done, whether it is digital marketing, whether it is phone marketing. So you decide that. So a lot of things are done by this model. Now this is another thing. Now you know how this AI-based assistance is possible, or marketing is possible. There is a hotel. I didn't write the name here because there are a lot of hotels, and hotels are running in chains actually. People give a lot of feedback. So I check into hotel in Pune. I stayed there for 3 days. I give a feedback and all that. Now when I moved to Delhi, this information, like what I ate in that hotel, what are my preferences in that hotel, what I ordered in that hotel, that information is stored somewhere and people analyze that data. So when you check into another hotel, they give you a personalized service. So they will say that, sir, we have, even if they don't have, suppose I have like dosa and other things, they can prepare a dosa in the morning and say that, sir, we have prepared a dosa for you only. We don't offer it in Delhi, but because you like dosa, we offer you a dosa here. So that's kinds of service is possible only when you look at the reviews, you look at the feedbacks, you analyze the text there, text processing, call that the text processing, and there are so many things that you can do. So natural process, language processing, sentiment analysis. Now you know people before checking into a hotel, I think there is a hotel in Europe. What they do, they look at your Facebook profile, the Facebook updates and all that, and they mine that Facebook information to find out before you check in what is your mood, what is your sentiment, whether you are angry, whether you are happy, whether you are dissatisfied, frustrated. So they try to tailor-made a particular service for you so that you become your mood becomes nice. So this is type of example which I'm saying. This is one I think I should talk about a bit. There is a AI technique, very recent AI technique, because that guy, his name is Ian Goodfellow. His name is Goodfellow. He came out with this model, and I don't want to discuss about this model. A very recent technology in AI. It gives, because see, artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., they were not empowered with imagination. They were only empowered with learning. Now this model, this GAN, generative adversarial network model, gave them a scope to imagine. So now the system can imagine. That's the key actually. So this model is an imagination. GAN provides imagination to artificial intelligence. Now how it does, I mean, if you want to know more about it, you can go to Google. I have a 2 hours talk in some other thing. If you want, you can write. I will share the slides also, or share the video talk also. You can look more about that. What it does actually, 2 neural networks are pitted against each other. One network is used to generate synthetic data. That generation is basically imagine some data, imagine an image, create an image. And the other is used to discriminate that this is not real or fake. So what happens? The computer will generate an image. The another program, the AI program will say that no, this is not a real image. But at some point of time, the computer will not be able to discriminate whether it is real or fake. That means it becomes a real data. That means the system could generate a design or an image which is considered as a real image which doesn't exist. So that's the imagination power that was given to AI by GAN way back. I think it was very recent actually. In 2015, first people coined this term, and by these 4 years now, you have thousands of papers. Now it is able to create new designs. For example, it is able to create new text, new fashion designs, new architecture designs, etc., which are as good as real but not real. Now it can be used in designing your recommendation system. Look at the next slide. What happens in Amazon and other things now? They recommend you products, right? Now what products they recommend you? Look at this side. Suppose you type that key, you prepare some choices. Now based on choices, they extract some features. What are the features? Oh, you like bright colors, you like long dresses, you like loose fittings. So these are the features of your choices. Now, based on the choices, they search the database, existing database in the Amazon, and from the existing database, they give you some, they recommend you some designs. Now, what happens here? If you use GAN, the twist here is that instead of predicting from the predefined set or the existing data set, the GAN will generate images based on your choices. It will generate images. The system will generate images which may not exist, which may not be there in the database, which may not, the designer might not have thought about it. And it will so this is the GAN. It will synthesize the images and then give you a product list. Now, if you choose one of them, then what will happen? They will make it for you. So that's a personalized fashion recommendation system using GAN. It's being implemented by a small startup company. Amazon, etc., have not implemented now, but that's the way to go. The facial recognition, I mean, that's a very important thing. The computer vision and facial recognition technology, these are two important AI technologies. There is a company called Face Deals, right? Face Deals is an AI empowered company, and it says it targets its customer with special offers from businesses they frequent by integrating facial recognition with their Facebook profiles. Now, what they do, I walk into the store, right? They look at my face, and from the face they look at my Facebook profile. From there they pick up what are my likings, dislikings, etc. And then they provide a customer-made, a tailor-made service for that, for an individual customer. So that's which product you liked, which product. So many things actually. So, and why do you say that? Why do you need a face? Because I'm not carrying my ID in my chest actually. So from the face, your ID has to be, your details have to be extracted. So the face recognition software or AI-based face recognition software, there is an application. The moment you enter into a store, the application will take your photo, will try to find out who are you, etc. And then everything else follows. I think I'm not playing this video, but many of you might have seen this Mr. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, giving this talk actually. This picture is basically, he is demonstrating a Google Assistant, how a Google Assistant makes a reservation for himself. So he says that book an appointment for me between 12 to 2. Now the assistant talks to the salon, talks to the beautician and tries to book an appointment. And I think I didn't want to play this video because many of you might have seen it in Google. It's a most liked video. What it does actually, why it is important, because the assistant talks to that salon or the beautician the way a human being talks. He's just not a simple thing, not writing a mail, etc. What it does. So this, and I think I remember in that video when the other guy, the beautician is speaking, the Google Assistant said as if a human being is speaking. So that's human touch. I think the previous speaker was telling about the human touch. That is what the Google Assistant done. And Sundar Pichai introduced this talk. This is a snapshot of that particular video. Banking, of course, there are a lot of AI. So predictive marketing, credit card fraud detection, all these things are considered. So Bank Financial Corporation use this Clementine data mining workbench. I mean, this is a kind of a benchmark to develop models that predict customers' behavior so that bank can accurately target promotion to customers and prospects. Look, suppose tomorrow bank comes out with a fixed deposit scheme. There is no need to talk to every customer actually. I don't have 100 rupees in my bank account or 1,000 rupees in my bank account. Why should they call me and tell you that there is a fixed deposit scheme coming up? No. So you have to target your customers, group, classify, cluster. So this classification, clustering, these are typical AI technologies which help the bank to target to which group, to which cluster. So they don't call it cluster, but in our technical term, we call it a cluster, a class. So this is how it does actually. Credit rating, all of us knows that how credit rating, this CRISIL rating and all these things happens. I think I tell my personal experience here. 5 years back when I went for a loan, the PNB bank at that time actually, he refused me loan. He said your credit rating is low. I said, how come? They say, no, you are not using credit card. You have a credit card which you have not used for 2 years. Your credit worthiness is very low. Now, I didn't know that even if you have not taken a loan, your credit worthiness is low. To make your credit worthiness more, you have to spend. Now, that's a model which I don't know. So it's a very complicated artificial intelligence model which the rating improves. Now, the rating for company, the rating for an individual, the rating for a group, everything, right? So this is one. Market basket analysis is a standard term in marketing. And we see that you have to now which basket, where do you put these things? In fact, if I look at this slide, Walmart, I mean, this is a famous case study many of you might be knowing. One of these, they say that if you analyze the pattern of the buying pattern of different customers, look at the what do you call the bold-faced letters here. The baby diapers and beers are purchased together. I mean, it's a very interesting analysis, right? Now you can say that, oh, that's okay. Friday evening, US people, they are going for the Walmart and there they buy baby nappies, but at the same time, they also buy people. But look at this, there is no direct link between the baby's nappies and the beer bottles. But the hidden information has provided. Now what they do, the Walmart redesigned its market basket, redesigned its placing. They put baby nappies and they put beer bottles there nearer to each other. In fact, one such study led to opening of supermarkets in the petrol pumps, in the gas stations, because many people who goes there to fill gas, they have to wait there, and during that time they can buy some medicines, they can buy some stuff, etc., instead of going to another supermarket there. So these are some of the analysis which led to a complete business process innovation and market basket innovation. HP company, there is a success story behind it actually. So this HP company says that the components of the computer, suit, peripherals, etc., they design it, they come out with a specification depending on what students need, what small businesses need, what large businesses need, what kind of LCD they need. So all these things, I tell you, it's not designed by human beings sitting there, but HP company has put up an AI thing. It comes out with a lot of information, but then somebody has to take a decision. Supply chain management. There are a lot of slides here, but I will not talk about those slides much. Believe me, this is the supply chain, and most probably almost all business managers know about it actually. So you have a supplier, you have a manufacturer, you have distributor, you have retail outlets, you have customers. The customers returns the product, it comes back to the supplier. Again, everything is done. So there is a cycle. Supply chain management is a crucial opportunity actually. A lot of things happen actually. Problems with supply chain management is that how much product or how many quantities you will put it in the inventory. What is the minimum reorder level quantity, minimum reorder level? So there are a lot of things that are there. So uncertainties and the need to coordinate several activities, internal units, business partners, wholesalers, customers. So supply chain requires everything actually. Now demand forecast causes uncertainty. You cannot forecast a demand because you never know, right? The situation changes, something changes. So the demand increases, decreases. So the forecast of demand is also an important part. And a lot of people talk about, they mine the 5-year past data, 10-year past data to find out what will be the demand in the next month. So coordination problem may occur. So these are these, and there are some of the, there is some of you might be knowing, it's a bullwhip effect. So in the supply chain destruction, there are two effects actually. One is called the bullwhip effect. The bullwhip effect is that basically there is so look at this, information about the demand for the product gets distorted as it passes from one entity to the next entity. What happens if there are some 10 people in the chain? Actually, the demand will not increase, but everybody will expect that there will be an increase. So I add another 5. My next level will add another 5. The next level will add another 5%. So by the 10th level, 50% demand will be increased, but at the bottom level, there is no increase in the demand. So those kind of things are very common in the supply chain management, and this is called as the bullwhip effect. And the AI techniques have been designed to detect this bullwhip effect actually, to find out, oh, this is a bullwhip effect, and let's not worry about it. Phantom effect. The phantom effect is that if a product will be there actually, but if it is misplaced, suddenly you find that suppose I am going to search a particular product, and the product is misplaced. Earlier it was there, now the stockist has put it in a different place. So many people will go to that sales boy or sales girl and ask about that product. And this gives a impression to the sales boy and sales girl. Many people are asking for this. Now, when many people are asking for this, they go and report to the manager that, oh, there is a lot of demand for this. So this is a fake demand actually. And in fact, the AI techniques, AI tools are available to figure out that. So there are some examples that Warner and Lambert, WL, typically call it WL. So they have noticed this effect, and probably I don't need to tell more about it because I don't have much time also. Yeah. I have another 5 to 10 minutes. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll complete in 10 minutes. Okay. So this Warner and Lambert, actually, they have an example of this phantom effect and how it happened, how the forecast happened. And I would recommend that please go and read that case study. You'll find all these things. I think I have already told about this. What is supply chain management? If you look at this, there is a report here. The report says that 85% of the business will integrate AI into their supply chain by 2021. This is a report by McKinsey, actually. So 85% of business will integrate AI to the supply chain management by 2021. Similarly, if you look at, there are many things, actually, right? Artificial intelligence has been fused with supply chain management so this is inventory control. I said that. What is inventory control? How much stock you should put it in inventory. Now look at this. If you read this particular line, read this. The inventory may cost approximately 15 to 35% of the product value. So that's very important. The statistics says that if you put a product in the inventory for a long time, then your cost will increase from 15% to 35%, and that will eat away your profit. Actually, you cannot, in a competitive market, you cannot sell it with a higher price of 15 to 35%. But if you cannot maintain your inventory in a proper manner, then this is the cost, actually. So supply chain management, look at AI-based supply chain management is able to control the inventory at a minimum reorder level. This is an optimization problem, and people have used genetic algorithm. People have used so many algorithms, actually, to find out the optimization problem. Transportation, the traveling salesperson problem, actually. You have certain warehouses, and then from the warehouses the data will go. I mean, not the data. The product will go. Now, when the product will go, how much quantity should be transported from which warehouse so that it reaches within a minimum amount of time to the customer or to the retailer? Now, this problem is basically known as a very hard problem. Now, this hard problem is solved using AI techniques. So this will tell you that, okay, you have Gujarat Amul, actually. They are using this technology, actually. How much Amul spray, Amul milk will be supplied from which warehouse to which retailer? They have a particular design using AI, and the AI tells them that this is the solution. So this is transportation problem. Sales forecasting, Azure is an Amazon based services. Now, if you use Azure's machine learning technique, they have a module called sales forecasting. You give your data for last 3 years or 2 years or 4 years, and it will forecast your sales. Now, this will find out, it will find out how many people will visit your store today or tomorrow. Now, based on that, if you are hiring temporary staff, you can plan your staffing, right? And that staffing pattern will help you to satisfy the customers, at the same time not spending more on that. So you don't need to say, for example, some intelligence is with us also. We know that at weekend we'll have more people. In the weekdays, it will not have more people. But during the weekdays, if a state holiday is declared or something, then suddenly you find a big rush there. So these things, the local parameters, the intelligent parameters have been taken, and instead of a human being take a decision, they decide this, actually. I told you that Azure does this. There is a safe way, sales forecast. If you look at this, I think you read this one. This is basically the data mining technology, which says that a cheese product ranked 209 in sales. So in a particular store, let's say Walmart, or let's say in the hyper city or something, in some market, they have ranked the products, actually, depending on the sale. But a cheese product ranked 209 in sales, but the highest spending customer in 25 are often bought this cheese. So that's very interesting. The highest buying customers are buying cheese. So you cannot put cheese in some remote place because it is not highly ranked. It should be so that the highest spending customers will find it difficult, actually. So these decisions, the sales forecast decision, says that how to put, where to put, how to place the your stack, and all these things. Okay, customer relationship management. I think I started saying with this diagram, actually. Chatbots. Now, chatbot is the new norm for customer relationship. When a customer has some problem, they will log into you. When they log in, there is a chatbot, and if the chatbot is AI based, the chatbot itself will be able to solve a lot of the customer problems. for example, Dell has come out with a chatbot. If you have some problem in your software, you start typing the your problem, they will start giving you solution. But I mind you, those solutions are basically chatbots. There is a robot sitting there. There is a software sitting there and giving you. If you are not satisfied, finally you go and talk to a human being. That's the problem. Auto reply emails, Google is able to do that. If you are using the smart reply. So this is a smart reply bot. So the customer relationship, you write a mail to the Google, the mail comes back. The company will reply you a mail, but the Google has come out with a product called smart reply, and the smart reply is such that the customer will not feel that it's an auto reply, right? It takes out the essence of this, reads this, parses this, understands this, composes a mail for you, and send it back. So this is how the customer relationship managements are being maintained. Human resource management, I'll just give you one study. Human resource management, retainment of human resources is also important, right? So there is a company called MCI Communications okay. There is a company called MCI Communication. Now MCI would like to retain the customers and employees, etc. So what they do, they search for the information of 140 million families, and each families are up to some 10,000, etc. They spend 10,000, etc. So these include income, lifestyle, customer, etc. To identify the model, MCI uses its data warehouse to find the most significant variables and pay attention to that. In my own term, let me explain you. MCI found out 140 million family data, and there are some thousands of attributes actually. What is their income? How many people are there? They are from which place? What is their religion? What is their lifestyle? And so many, 10,000 variables are there. And they also have their purchase habits, their spending habits, etc. What this communication company did, they found that, okay, what are the most important factors in these 10,000 attributes so that we can try to retain them actually. The same thing they applied for retaining their employees also. They looked at the employees, what are their background, how many family members they have, what are their skill set, etc. And they designed a package for that so that this person is just happy. So the company should not pay more, company should not pay less. If company pays more, they will be unhappy. If company pays less, the employee will leave. So they designed a pay package just enough for that employee. He will not think about leaving the company, and just enough for just minimum for or just maximum for the company, so that they will not have to pay more for him. These are the techniques that they are doing it. Change management is fine. I mean, I have already told you, particularly you have to see how this change, which employee and teams will be impacted by this AI project. If you implement it, then you have to look at them. They will leave, they will be unhappy, they will do harm to the company. So you have to look at them and manage the issue. Now, what this AI project does actually, there is a software actually. They say that if you implement this kind of a tool, who are the potential employees in your company who will be unhappy, right? You can do it from your own wisdom, but there is a company also, there is a software also which does this. Healthcare, I mean, I don't want to talk about this. Now, this is the final thing. You just give me 5 minutes and we close the door. Now, the business during post-COVID situation is very, very, so people are talking about businesses with online education. People are talking with medical IoT because small medical instruments, at-home treatment are coming up. Contactless activity, contactless pizza delivery. That's what the previous speaker was telling. Contactless. So the basic idea is that you need to do it. Cost efficient solutions, health screening, all those things are there actually. So some of these things, some of the companies which were not there, and this WL, hand sanitation, etc., they were suddenly booming into the business, etc. Anything we talk about hygiene, any product you talk about hygiene, hand sanitation, etc., you see that there is a business there. This is an application. There is a company, a startup is coming up, which comes out with a device which will help you to avoid your face touch. It will not allow you to touch your face, touch different parts of your body, or touch some other instrument. So this touchless. So this will give you a kind of a vibration, etc., so that you will not be allowed to touch. Now these kind of companies are coming up, not for COVID only, but for different things. So many things, smartwatches. This is one video which I want to play because there is a company which is coming up for providing social distancing and all this product for social distancing. Now look at this actually. The green means they are 2 meters away from each other. Red means they are close to each other actually. So there is a company which come out with solution. They install that cameras, etc. It will and the wearable sensors, etc. So this is basically installed at Tirupati Tirumala temple. The company has done that, and this company is now doing business in everywhere, right? So this is one type of company. And okay, the final thing I want to do, say just one slide. The normal important mistakes when you do for AI adaptation in the business or business intelligence adaptation. First mistake, 100% decisions are made by machine. No. If you allow 100, because all these AI based techniques are not kind of a plus b whole square, that it will never change. A plus b whole square is always a square plus b square plus 2ab. But AI based technique is that key. Look at this, a small example. I say that key, this may be a Kate, but it says with a confidence of 94%. It is not sure. So everything comes with a confidence level. 100% a plus b whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. That's the 100% solution. But AI-based solutions are never 100%. So 100% decisions cannot be taken by machine, cannot be left to the machine. There has to be decision maker who will take the final call. That's one. And the last one, as I talk about data, we can do with customer data what we want? No. Because there are a lot of regulations, this general data protection regulations, European countries, Indian countries, signatories to the United Nations, etc. There is a lot of rules that are coming out with how to handle the data. So if your company is handling with the customer data, you must know what are the rules. GDPR is very, very strict and very, very strict, and you don't allow these things. So if you are thinking of adopting AI, which is based on data into your system, you must know that what is GDPR regulation. The GDPR regulations are very strict. Thank you. I think there are many people who work with me in the different type of projects, etc. So this is our team: Dr. Nagender, Rahul, Mrityunjay, Pragya, Somaya. So they work with me in different type of things. And thank you everybody for a patient talk, patient listening. Actually,
thank you, sir. Thank you for this great insight on the topic. Sir, if time permits, can we take few questions?
Yeah, I'm okay if your time permits.
Okay. Just I'm taking few questions. Okay, some questions are coming like, how can AI help in demand forecasting?
Okay. Okay, any forecasting is a time series, right? If you look at, just a minute, let me stop it. Yeah. Should I stop this slide? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
How do I stop sharing? Stop sharing. Okay. Now, how a demand is a time series data. So if I have three-year data or 4-year data or 1-year data, if I look at the patterns, if I look at everything, unless, I repeat, unless otherwise some external shock is given. For example, every forecast proved to be wrong during this period, because in 2019, 2018, 2017, people never knew that this pandemic is coming, right? So 2020 forecasts were all wrong. Now, what do we have? I can tell you names, you can still browse them. We have different models, time series models. We have ARIMA model, we have SARIMA model. There are many models which are there in AI, which will give you give the data about the past behavior and the present situation, and hopefully what will be the situation in the future. So we call them as a trend analysis. We call them as a seasonality analysis. So for example, your blanket, your overcoats, etc. The sales will increase in what do you call, in the winter. Now that also depends on how the severe will be the winter. If the winter is severe and long, your sales about the overcoats, woolen jackets, etc. will increase. So we take the data from the weather forecast department. We take the data from the previous year forecast. So based on that, the demand forecasting is done. And there are many intelligent models. ARIMA is a model where it finds out the trend. There are many models where it finds out the seasonality also. So seasonalities and trend taken together will be able to forecast the demand. And I would suggest you read some of the models there. You would say time series model, AI in time series, and that's it.
Okay. Sir, another question that has come is that how sentimental analysis helping business in identifying and customizing customer requirements?
Yes, I think everybody will agree. Suppose I check into a hotel and my Facebook post, etc. It seems that very so sentiment analysis or emotional analysis. I'm very angry. I'm very frustrated, etc. Now don't you like that you get a personalized service? You are from South India and they serve you idli and dosa. You are from North India, they serve you aloo ka paratha. So this kind of service, or when you go, you find a smiling person there. Your room is already clean. The check-in process is, they have already made the check-in process, because they know that the train is delayed by 3 hours, and you are sentimentally, you are very angry. Train is delayed or your flight is delayed, and you don't want to wait in the reception for another half an hour to get your room. So all these things are small things, but all these people, these big hotels and all these people, they try to analyze this customer satisfaction. In fact, HDFC, I know one of my friend did a project with him. HDFC people, they have a camera and other things, right? So when a customer walks into the HDFC bank, they try to analyze that customer's behavior, the way he walks, the way he looks, what is his emotion. And based on that, they offer him a glass of water. The system gives him that customer number 3 who gets a token there. Customer number 3 is with these kind of things, and you try to attend him. So I mean, I think that there are tools, face recognition, emotion recognition, text, your feedback, your text summarization. All these things gives me a tool to find out what is your mood, what is your sentiment, and based on that, a product is tailor-made for you. Anything?
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
I think I have answered this.
Probably we should. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
One more question I think we can take. Could you provide example of Ola and Uber using BI and machine learning?
Oh, okay. Let me tell you about Uber, right? What Uber does or what Ola does. If you are making I tell you about the machine learning part of it actually, and I think most of us have noticed it actually. You try Uber once, to book once, and suppose you could not book it. Okay, forget that. I give you a better example. You try to book, you have arrived at the airport, you try to book Uber actually, and the software is that every software can find out what is the battery level in your mobile phone. Suppose your battery level is low, and mind it, I mean, I'm giving you a right example actually. 2 of my friends were there. We arrived at the airport. In my phone, the battery was only 10%, and in his phone, the battery was almost full. It was 80% or something like that. He got a lesser rate than me, because the Uber server knows that this guy is running out of battery. He doesn't have more chance to book it again and again. He gives me a higher quote. Right? So I'm not saying it's a good customer service, but they optimize their prices based on the battery level in your phone, the number of softwares running in your phone, whether you have Ola application. Suppose I'm talking about Uber, whether you have any other car aggregator service applications or not. All these things are taken, and they find out a rate for you, and the rates are different for different customers. So they charge you so much so that you will not be dissatisfied completely, because you don't go to the counter and book it. That will be still less than the counter, but still more than what your friend will give. I think that should answer the question.
Thank you, sir. One question from one of our students, I think. Can you give some pioneer companies in India who are actually working on AI softwares and tools?
In India?
Yes, sir.
No, this Amazon Azure service, I think I have given Amazon Azure service, etc. I know there is one company called just a minute. What is that company? Data analytics company in Bangalore. That guy is from Odisha. His name is. Can I browse it? Just a minute. I have his mail ID actually. Samir. No, I'm not getting him right now. But there is a company in I just forgot it. There is a company in Bangalore which just provides AI solutions to your business actually. In fact, they are working with small businesses also. I will do one thing. I'm not able to browse it. I will send it to you, Vikram, and you can share with them.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir, for this
Thank you very
such a
much.
wonderful,
No, I don't know,
wonderful.
but you know, I'm not from management background actually, but still I tried my best, did a lot of
We're really thankful.
research.
We're really thankful to you. So on this occasion of this, let us conclude the inaugural session. So on this occasion, I want to thank many people who are connected with this conference directly or indirectly. I'm grateful. A big thank to Professor Dr. Atmanan, Director MDIM, for his continuous support and motivation to organize ICBIT in online mode. I must thank Mr. Musarraf Hussain, Chief Guest ICBIT, for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion. I am grateful to Dr. Raj Agarwal, our guest of honor, for his valuable thoughts about the conference. I am also thankful to Dr. Jayant Singh for accepting our invitation to the chief guest of the valedictory function. I also wish to express my gratitude to all the keynote speakers for excellent coverage in their respective topics. I thank Ms. Nupur Singh from Springer for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion. I thank all track chairs for differentiations for accepting our invitation. I thank all the authors and delegates and participants from various parts of the world for their enthusiastic participation in the conference. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling months ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of motivated colleagues of MDI Murshidabad. I thank Dean Academic MDIM, Dean Continuing Education MDIM, and all other faculty members for their support towards organizing this event. I'm thankful to Registrar MDIM and other admin and IT staff for their continuous support in organizing this event. I am thankful to the team of PR media of MDIM for their continuous support for the last few months. Once again, I thank all of you for being with us this morning and gracing the occasion. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day ahead. We'll be meeting next at 2:30 for two different sessions, which will run in parallel. One session will be Finance in Digital Era, and the other session will be a combination of three tracks: Operations in Digital Era, Enterprise Architecture and Information Management in Digital Era, and Cases. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Vikram. Thank you, everybody. I'm logging out.
Yeah, thank you, Udgata sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Souvik. It's a pleasure to
Yes.
see you again.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Yes, it's my
Thank
pleasure, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Atmanand, if you're hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
So we'll now break for lunch and we'll meet again at 2:30.
Yes, Dr. Sir.
Yes.